Do you remember your dreams? What would life be like if we couldn't dream? In a universe with an abundance of possibilities, what's holding you back? Sometimes I don't want to wake up. Wake up.
Yo, 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 yo. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Vin in the house. We're about to do some Ozzy Osbourne. Is that how you say it? I don't know. All you folks out there in TV land, good to see everybody. This is going to be a classic. Unreal! Shout out to the big homie Will Noyds in the house. Good to see you, baby. Good to see you indeed. Hope everybody's doing good. This is about the big homie. Today, though, is about the big homie Ozzy. This is kind of like a... this is kind of like... our send-off to the big homie. The most influential rock and metal influence ever. One of the two celebrity deaths that affected me deeply, the great Robin Williams being the other. You two do great work. Yeah, man, rest in peace to the big homie Robin Williams, man. That was a tough one. Very tough one, but you know, that's one of those things where it's like, yo, check on your friends, you know? The funny guy, the guy that makes everybody laugh, the guy that's always like worried about everybody else but himself. You got to check on that guy. He's in danger. All right, guys. So let's talk about the big homie Ozzy. Extremely influential, really, really good person, and a Christian, by the way. I know there's a lot of, oh, he was this, he was that, the devil, blah, blah, blah. Like, people don't understand the difference between a stage personality and who a person actually is. But having said that, this man is really, I mean, to be honest with you guys, there is a sense in which Ozzy's responsible for this channel, obviously. All the metal that we all love and all the rest of it, the vast majority of our favorite bands list this guy and the dudes in this band as the reason for why they started doing what they do. So it's a situation where you got to pay homage to the man and you got to respect it, because there's not a lot of real groundbreakers anymore in music. You know, I'm not gonna like diss music. I'm not gonna say anything is dead, but like right now, like it'd be cool to have somebody that comes up with an innovative sound or something like that, you know? And I gotta tell you guys, like, as a person who like plays guitar and, you know, desperately wants to come up with something that's like unique that nobody's ever heard before, it's very difficult to do in a way that's intelligible and that translates to people. Because at the end of the day, the instrument's the same, the scales are the same. So to be able to extract something of real meaning that's really awesome is very, very hard to do. And so you just gotta give him the respect. I mean, really, the whole band, what they did together was crazy. And obviously, Ozzy providing the personality and the, you know, providing a reference point for people to relate to, and then paving the way for all of the bands that we all love, Metallica, all the rest of it. Just a very, very big loss in the community. But what I will say about Ozzy is that although he was unique, I didn't really, I wasn't born into metal. You know, I came into metal. I discovered metal from Korn and bands like that, you know? So my real introduction to Ozzy wasn't musical. It was actually the TV show. And that's kind of when I kind of fell in love with dude and then went back and listened to his stuff. And then obviously when the channel hit, we were really able to go into the catalog, and I was just blown away constantly by one, their evolution as a band. You know what I'm saying? Like like how they evolved sound wise. That was a really cool thing that I noticed. Because you know, doing this job, it gives you the opportunity to not only review music, but to see the evolution of these guys, both personally and professionally. Say it that way. Okay, now, having said that, let me see what these guys are saying about the big homie Ozzy, and we'll get right into it. So here's our charo. On 22nd July 2025, we lost one of metal's most iconic figures, John Michael Osborne. Did y'all know that? His name was not Ozzy, it was John Michael Osborne. Known to his fans as Ozzy, or the Prince of Darkness, we took this opportunity to pay tribute with Ozzy with a playlist of songs featuring his voice, including with Black Sabbath, his solo career, as well as guest appearances with other bands. The winner was the tried and true Sabbath. We chose the song God Is Dead from their 19th and final album. This was nominated by Metalhead 107.9. Shout out to Metalhead 107.9. You were merely adopted by metal. I was born in it. All right, guys, here goes song number 1. God Is Dead. Holy schmagoli, Ozzy. Bro is just coming out with it. But again, like Christians, like, relax. I promise you, by the end of the song, you will not think that Ozzy is some arch heretic or something like that. Give the song a chance. All right, Ben, you got to keep me with the timestamps, okay, Ben? My partner in crime is missing still, so I need you to keep track of that. Timestamp, etc. All right, guys, here we go. Song number 1. We'll say the 10-minute mark, Ben. Song number 1, Black Sabbath, God Is Dead. Let's go!
God is dead.
rest in freaking peace, bro. What a song. First of all, I have never in my life heard a bad solo from Tony Iommi. I've never listened to Tony Iommi do a solo and been like, yo, that could have been like 45 notes less. Right? That could have been completely, but with Tony, like, if you want to run, if you want to race and put a bunch of notes in the scale, he can go there. But he plays guitar the way LeBron plays basketball, and people, feel so emotional about LeBron. But the thing about LeBron is that no matter what situation he's in, he always makes the right decision. And so, like, Tony, no matter what situation he's in my opinion, he always makes the right decision, instrumentally speaking. And I just think that's like mega special and not to be taken for granted. Anybody can do Johnny Melancholy in this bitch. Anybody can put a bunch of notes together. I've got a thing where it's like, I don't know, like 1,000 notes or something like that in the solo. Who cares? Can you make it legible? Can it hit you in the heart, emotionally speaking? That's the issue. So I just had to say that. Obviously, Tony Iommi just he just imitated George Harrison. That's what I heard. I don't know about that, big homie. I don't know about that. Hey, Lone Rider, it's good, bro. It's good. Don't just delete that. It's okay. It's okay. I know you're good for it. You don't have to explain anything to me, okay? We're good. You'll get it when you get it, I'm sure. Okay. Let's look at some of these lyrics, huh? So, like, Nietzsche has this story about God is dead, where the phrase God is dead is used. And I can't get into all the particulars, but it's basically this madman. He's walking around in the market, and he figured out the ramifications of what that means if God is truly dead. Nietzsche was a very, very interesting person relative to what he thought of the world and what he thought of human nature. But I think he gets misrepresented, especially by Christians, because when he was saying that God is dead, he wasn't spiking the football. The dude in his little parable is panicked because Nietzsche understood the weight of the implication of the idea that there's no God. And so this madman in the market who's walking around like progressively unraveling and losing his mind was Nietzsche's way of grappling with the idea that if there's no God, we're going to have to come up with entirely new paradigms and systems for the human race to continue. And he quasi-prophetically predicted that there was going to be a lot of death, destruction, and bloodshed, and then out of the ashes was supposed to come a new form of humanity that knew how to propagate the species without religion, and that would be the Ubermensch, or the Overman, or the Superman. That was the idea. And what history has shown us, I would be very interested to see what Nietzsche says now about that idea. Because what history has shown us is the death and destruction, blood and gut stuff is true. But we're going to organize and come up with a new paradigm to be human without God has that project still hasn't come to fruition. So I'd be very interested to see what Nietzsche had to say. But anyway, let's look at these lyrics from the big homie. He starts off, lost in darkness, I fade from the light, faith of my father, my brother, my maker and savior. Help me make it through the night. SubhanAllah. Look what he's saying. He's in darkness. I'm sure Ozzy understands. Most likely this is my last record. He's dealing with his own mortality. Obviously didn't take care of himself very well as a rock star living that lifestyle. He understands. And it's unbelievable how explicit this is. This is what I'm saying about, like, the judgments that we have of, talking about Christians. It's not even like an angry criticism. It's just our judgment sometimes can make it so that we miss some of the most beautiful people in the world and some of the most beautiful music in the world. He's talking about the faith of his father, his brother, his maker and savior. Now, that could be literal, but it could also be spiritual. Because in the Christian church, God is our father and Jesus is our brother. And yet, he says, faith in my father, brother, maker, and savior. All those could apply to God, right? Father, brother, maker, savior. All those can apply to God. It's just a very beautiful way of talking about your relationship with God and being in the dark night of your soul or just the dark night of your life. Who do you have to hold to? And who do you have that is explicitly there to be with you? So he says, faith of my father, my brother, my maker. Unbelievable. He says, blood on my conscience and murder in my mind. I the glues I rise up from the tomb into impending doom. That's a little bit of a rhyme. He's got internal and external rhyme schemes. Look at that. Murder on my mind. Out of the gloom I rise up from the tomb in the impending doom. And my body is the shrine. So he's got, he's got that sandwich effect that we use in rap so well. That was a really good line, bruh. The blood runs free, the rain turns red. Give me the wine, you keep the bread. The voice is echoing in my head. Is God alive or is God dead? Yo, that's a hard line. Especially when he talks about, I want the wine, I don't need the bread. So obviously the bread and wine represents the body and blood of Christ in communion. And he's saying he only wants the wine. Meaning, man, I don't need religion to get me through this. Just get me some drugs and we'll get through it. I don't need religion to get me through it. I need some alcohol to get me through it. And so like that right there is a crazy thing to think about when you have somebody that is taking the elements of communion, right? Let me know if that's better, memorable, fancy. Where he's taking the elements of communion and he's like actively rejecting it in the timeline in this song, and he's saying, I don't need this stuff. That's a pretty crazy line. And so like, I wonder about people that have this understanding of, okay, so there's no God, but we're going to maintain morality, and we maintain morality because they'll say things like, if you need somebody in the sky to tell you to do the right thing, then you're already a bad person, and I'm such a good person, I don't need God for that, so I just do the right thing in general. That seems like a very noble, very strong comeback, but it doesn't understand that it's a self-defeating argument. Why? Because you're saying that goodness is some sort of objective value out there, but you don't establish what that is or how we can know it. People say, oh, it's just obvious. Well, it's not obvious. Slavery was a majority report for the human family for the vast majority of human existence. Sexual assault, okay? Go back and look at laws in the ancient world relative to sexual assault. Listen, these things that we assume now are assumptions we have because we have inherited a Christian worldview. Okay, the people that constructed our culture came from a certain kind of worldview. So he is saying, I don't believe that God is dead. There's riddles in my head, I understand. There's things I can't explain, I understand. But I don't believe that God is dead here. And for him to like come out and say the exact opposite, explicitly say the exact opposite, as the guy who is the high priest of metal, I think is massively, massively, massively significant. Massively significant in my opinion. The way that this song says what it says without being preachy is it's a skill that is very, very difficult to foster. It's very hard to talk about like your religion, your belief system, the things that you're holding on to in crisis, it's very, very, very difficult to talk about that with people who don't understand the same thing, right? And so it's like, our creator is above life and death. He is who he is. Exactly. Right? Exactly. And so, like, I would just challenge people in your day-to-day life. Do you actually live as if you don't believe that God is real? Do you live, does it seem to you that you live in a world where people are convinced that there's no God? Or are there assumptions that are just built into the world that we know that don't make sense without God? Right? Like, I don't believe that I could argue somebody into belief in God. But I do believe that people can, within themselves, have these discussions among themselves to understand how we got here and where we're going. And what I'll say is, we got to figure this shit out really quickly. Because I don't know if you guys are watching the news, but we're a step or two away from World War III. None of us knows what's going on. This is not about fear-mongering. This is about being able to look at the situation we're all in together as a human family right now and realize that tomorrow ain't guaranteed. Tomorrow ain't guaranteed, bruh. We could, look, man, you got, I say this all the time. We're in a country with more guns than people, and we've never been more divided than we've ever been. And while that is happening, the access to health care, particularly mental health care, is zilch. So we got a bunch of people that need to see people that need some sort of medication to maintain, and that's being cut off. Simultaneous to that, the guns are still here. So the fact that people are not looking at those elements and realizing that bad things are coming around the corner has a lot to do with, you've got to come up with mental constructions that will help you get through the day. And if you don't really know to trust in God, the terrifying nature of the world that we're in right now could definitely put you in a situation where you might not be here, and it'd be sudden, and it'd be in a way that you're not expecting. And so it's like, I would say you gotta make your peace with God as a concept. Meaning, if you've never in your life sat down and had a rigorous internal conversation with yourself about what you really believe or don't, you should do that before a round hits you and you're bleeding out and your visual cortex begins to shrink. That's not the time to have that conversation with yourself. I'm not saying, hey, look into yourself and you're going to end up seeing everything my way. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you should have a really deep internal interrogation of that belief or non-belief system with yourself in a neutral context when you're not influenced by all these external pressures that would then make you want to believe in God because you're about to die, if that makes any sense. All right, I'm going to say this song came out really, really, really strong. Really, really, really strong. And yeah, I'm going to go with what Dwayne said. Even Lieutenant Dan himself made his peace with God. Right? So, however that's going to happen, that conversation should happen. And Ozzy's encouraging us, and Ozzy's saying, look, for my part, I don't believe that God is dead. And that's a man who had lived the fullest life possible that you could live. Hey, what's up from Goodwill on my break? Good to see you, buddy. We're talking about Ozzy. He's got a song called God is Dead, in which he doesn't believe that God is dead. So we were just having that conversation. Peace to you. I give this song apparently this song was inspired by Nietzsche. You mentioned that earlier. I did not know I did not know that it was inspired by Nietzsche, but it makes a lot of sense that it was, considering the God is dead phraseology. That's awesome. Good. So that's confirmation. What songs are you listening today? We're going to listen to a bunch of songs that feature the big homie Ozzy Osbourne, because he's no longer with us, unfortunately. I'm going to give this one a 9.5. I loved the hell out of this song. Shout out to Ozzy Osbourne. Long live to the homie. Rest in peace, as the big homie guitar man said. What's good, Pony? Good to see you. Pony, oni, 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 oni. All right, guys. That was song numero uno. We got more songs coming down the pike for you beautiful people. Ben, where are you? Timestamp, timestamp, timestamp. All right, guys. Song number 2. Ben, mark this down at the 35-minute mark, okay? All right, guys. Song number 2 on the way for you beautiful people. It is called Putting on the Ritz. Is that the name of the song? Put It on the Ritz? I don't know. But apparently that's the name of the song. I think I got it right. So let's see what this one is about. Putting on the Ritz. Actually, I don't even have that video. Let me download it first. All right, I'm going to read it. When you did the reaction for Muddy Waters, Vin said it reminded him of Revo and history. Ah, shout out to Revo. Gang, gang. Inspired by our former leader and his love for music history, we started a theme series, Decades of Music. In these themes, we'll go through music of each decade, starting a century ago with the Roaring Twenties. The winner of the 1920s poll was Irving Berlin, a Russian-born American composer and songwriter, with his song Putting on the Ritz, which was written in 1929. All right. Putting on the Ritz, as they say. Let's see it. All right, guys, here we go. Song number 2, starting from the 35-minute mark, is Putting on the Ritz. Let's go. I think I know this song.
Have you seen the well-to-do up on Lenox Avenue, on that famous thoroughfare, with their noses in the air, high hats and colored collars, white spats and $15, standing every dime for a wonderful time? If you're blue and you don't know where to go to, why don't you go where Harlem sits, putting on the Ritz?
I've heard this song before.
Spangled gowns upon the bevy of high browns, from down the levee, all misfits, putting on the Ritz. That's where each and every Lulu Belle goes, every Thursday evening with her swell beaux. Rubbing elbows, come with me and we'll attend their jubilee and see them spend their last 2 bits, putting on the Ritz. You go where Harlem sits, putting on the Ritz. Tango gowns upon the bevy of high brown, from down the levee, all misfits, and how they're putting on the Ritz. That's where each and every Lulu Belle goes, every Thursday evening with her swell beaux. Rubbing elbows, come with me and we'll attend their jubilee and see them spend their last 2 bits, just putting on the Ritz.
Okay, I've heard that song before. And you know what's funny is, I swear to God that Aladdin, you know the song, the show Aladdin, I'm pretty sure that they use this as like some sort of template, or somebody Google or check to see if this was used in Aladdin, either in the video game or the song itself. But I'm pretty sure that Aladdin basically copied this thing. All I remembered was that beat, the dun 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 dun. But I don't know what the hell he was talking about. So let's check this out. Holy smokes, man! 1929. That was like 100 years ago, basically. Holy smokes! I can't hear the song properly anymore after Young Frankenstein. Okay, so this is a song that's been copied a bunch of times, apparently. All right, so here we go. Pants with stripes and cutaway coat, perfect fit, putting on the Ritz. Dressed up like a what? Dressed up like $1 million trooper, trying hard to look like Gary Cooper, super duper. Come, let's mix with the Rockefellers. Come, let's mix where Rockefellers walk with sticks or umbrellas in their mitts, putting on the Ritz. Yo, these guys are rapping a little bit, though. I ain't gonna lie to you. Have you seen the well-to-do up and down Park Avenue in that famous thoroughfare with their noses in the air, hi-hats and air? Okay, so I don't know if he's like making fun of high-class people, or is he just talking about like, yo, these people are out of our league, that type of thing. White spats and lots of dollars, spending every dime for a wonderful time. If you're blue and you don't know where to go, why don't you go where the fashion sits, putting on the Ritz, dressed up like $1 million trooper. So the idea is like if you're sad or upset, why don't you dress up and go down where all the famous people are and like watch what they do? I guess what, live vicariously through them? Put on your ritzy clothes and go and watch the rich famous people, I think. I mean, yeah, the guy's got bars. A lot of you guys don't know this, but the Beatles actually wrote this song. They did not. But this is the big homie, and he always does this. Did you get the kind of sauce I like? Is this it? Nope. What a failure.
It's never enough.
Never. You keep failing me, bro. You should be a better son. Like your brother. Just trying to create trauma. Yeah. I don't. Okay, I'll say this. When I was in New York City, famous people would just walk by you. Like Macaulay Culkin walked by me. Keem Woodbine, like there are a couple dudes. You just see them and they're walking down the street. I mean, it was one time where what's the dude? Keanu Reeves was taking a train. Yeah, at one point he was just sitting there taking a train, riding the train. I wasn't there when that happened. But I remember because we got selected to go to NAMM, right? So the NAMM people reached out to us, and me and Sori went down to LA. And we got posted up in this hotel. The hotel was right beside the site, and the hotel wasn't cheap, but that's okay. So we're right there, and I remember one night I just went out to kind of. I'm like, I'm in LA. The only time I've ever been to LA was when I was going through the airport to go somewhere else. So I never really got to go hang out in LA. So outside of our hotel, and like. The place was insane because, like, down in the atrium, there were bands that would play, like, loud bands, like, out there. So, I mean, it was NAMM, N-A-M-M. It's like the North American Music something or other, right? So, like, everybody's down there in NAMM. It's like it's huge. And they're hawking new instruments. They're hawking, like, you know, pedals and things like that. It's just this big, giant thing. And then they'll recruit people in the media to go down there, interview people and all that because they want the new product tested. And then you do videos where you product test and all that. So that's what we were doing at the time. So anyway, NAMM's happening. Sori's upstairs. She fell asleep. She's carrying the baby. She got mega sick because that's a big thing about NAMM. Everybody gets sick at NAMM because people from literally all over the world are coming and everybody's just sharing grossness. So it's a big thing. You get sick. So anyway, she got sick. She gets knocked out. I'm by myself. So I go downstairs. I'm like, I'm just gonna go hang out with some people. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna go hang out and chill. Dude, I get downstairs and there's this gigantic crowd outside, right? So you guys know me. I'm a little bit antisocial, a little bit introverted. especially when my girl's not around me. So I was just like, okay. I was in the back, I was just in the cut chilling. Finally, the crowd disperses. There's this, like, I don't know what you call those kind of, McLaren? It was some sort of car where the door opened up weird or whatever. And what was happening was this kid pulls up. He's trying to get inside of his hotel. And he comes up in this McLaren. And all of us had, you know, the, what do you call him? The bellboy, whatever. The guy that goes and takes your car. Like, we had one too. And he's trying to get to this guy and signal to this guy. But this kid is surrounded by all these people. You know what I'm saying? He's surrounded by all of these people, and he couldn't get anywhere. So I'm just sitting there watching this. I'm like, this is amazing. I'm like, I didn't know who he was. He must have been some rapper. I mean, because he looked like he was like 20 years old, and he's in this, you know, I'm Googling like how much this car must have cost. You know what I'm saying? And like people were just crazy, like going around this guy, like, and I was like, wow, this is really fascinating. And they were like, did you see the car? Blah, blah. I was hearing people talk about how they touched the car and all this. And I'm like, wow, they are living like vicariously through this kid. So it was just a very fascinating thing to see. Because in New York, it wasn't really like that. Like you saw, so it almost like in New York, if you gooned out about seeing a celebrity, like if you were like mega happy about seeing a celebrity, we would make fun of you. We would mock you. We'd be like, oh, look at this guy. He's out here. You know, like, you had to act like it wasn't a big deal. Like, oh, yeah, I just saw this nigga Joaquin Woodbine, blah, blah, blah. Stop. Dude's famous. Like, you're excited to meet him, you know? So, yeah, that's my story. That's what I was thinking about when I saw Putting on the Ritz. This is going to be, I'm going to rank this song as a classic. I'm not going to put a number on it. It's got to be a classic, right? I mean, come on. Putting on the Ritz, it's got to be a classic. Definitely shows you the mindset of people in 1929. That's we're going into or coming out of the Great Depression. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's interesting. All right, so I'm gonna give that one a classic rating. Got to give it a classic rating because I don't like the song as far as like, I'm never going to listen to it again, right? So I'm not going to go, oh, it's a 9, it's a 7, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm never going to listen to it again. However, it is a timeless song, as Negative Vibes is saying. So once every so often, I give words instead of numbers for the score, and this is one of them. Putting on the Ritz. Good job. Hey, Negative, I need you to Google whether or not there was some... whether or not Aladdin stole or based any of their songs on Putting on the Ritz. Because I'm almost sure that they did. All right, guys. There is more metal. No. I mean, we had our war for sure, but it wasn't Nam. It wasn't Nam. Vietnam. Okay, guys. Song number 3. Song numero 3. Where are you, Ben? Need you, buddy. We need you for the timestamp. Here we go. This is the Sin and Glory Alliance. Shout out to them. In Sin and Glory's theme, cameo appearance, members had pics that had a cameo of a real-life person in song lyrics. The winner's song, Hey 19, is from the 1980 album Gaucho by jazz soft rock band Steely Dan. The lyric features a cameo of Aretha Franklin. This was Dwayne's pick. Dwayne is in the house. If you are new to our community, we actually have famous people in our community. And not just me, and not just my girl, but we literally have an actor who plays in movies with Academy Award winning actors. The one and only Dwayne Chamberlain is in the house, and he's a legit like movie star. The guy's legitimately a star. As a matter of fact, they're making a part 2 of the movie that he was just in, and he is in it. So you go ahead and find yourself another channel with like legitimately famous people. Like, I defy you to find one. I defy you to find one. You'll never do it. What's up, Richard? Good to see you, baby. Long time no see. Man, the whole gang. Did you guys know that Damon Sage showed up here yesterday? That was crazy. That was absolutely crazy. Damon freaking Sage. My homie. If you know, like, old school Vid and Story, you'll know Damon Sage is, like, one of the OG of the OGs of the OGs, for real. All right, guys. Here we go. This is Steely Dan. And the name of the song is Hey 19. Hey 19. I hope that's the name of the song. Where'd you go? Steely Dan, Judas Priest, Black Sabbath, Steely Dan. Here we go, guys. Let's go. Ben, remember the timestamp? Let's do it.
No way.
48.7-ish, Ben. 48.7-ish. That was... I think I figured out what was going on halfway into the song. So I think 19 has to do with a 19-year-old. I think that's what it is. I think he's talking about the gap between him and this 19-year-old girl. And she... Let me see. Way back in 67, I was the dandy of Gamma Chi. I don't know what Gamma Chi is or Gamma Chi. Is that like some, what do you call that? Is that a frat? Is Gamma Chi a frat? I'm assuming it's a frat because of the Latin term, but somebody confirm. Sweet things from Boston. So young and willing. Moved down to Scarsdale. Where the hell am I? So, see? I think Shorty's 19. See, the negative vibes is saying Shorty's too young. She's legal, but I think what's happening here is that culturally she doesn't get it, so he's like, yo, we out. Because he says, hey, 19, no, we can't dance together. We can't dance together. No, we can't talk at all. Please take me along when you slide down. I think that's what she's saying. She's saying, please take me along when you slide on down. He's saying, no, I can't dance with you. No, we can't talk at all. Hey, 19, that's Aretha Franklin. She don't remember the Queen of Soul. It's hard times befall in the soul survival. She thinks I'm crazy, but I'm just growing old. Aretha Franklin did I Will Survive, right? Was that her? Or was that... No, that was... I don't know who did that. Somebody let me know. But I think what's happening here is that he doesn't want to dance with the girl, not because she's too young. I think he doesn't want to dance with her because she doesn't connect with the art that connects with him. So like he says, hey, 19, that's Aretha Franklin. You don't remember the Queen of Soul? You see what I'm saying? Like, you don't remember the Queen of Soul? She's 19, bruh. I don't know when this song was written. What, in the 80s? 1980? So Shorty was a baby. That was Donna Summers. Shorty was a baby when bro wrote this song, right? So she's a baby, and he's like, yo, if you don't know who Aretha Franklin is, I can't rock with you. That's what's going on. Because at 19, she's not too old for him, especially all the shit that I found out that everybody was doing at the time, Rolling Stones, all type of shit. So it's not the age thing, it's a principle thing, damn it. You don't know who Aretha Franklin is? I can't rock with you. That's a crazy reason to reject the girl. Holy smokes. That is insane. I mean, you gotta love the man's conviction though. Because he said that she's a sweet thing and she was young and willing. But this man has principles. You ain't gonna go and like disrespect Aretha Franklin around me. That's insane, bruh. Not even I take the music that serious. I mean, my God. Hey, 19, we got nothing in common. See, we can't dance together. No, we can't talk we can't talk at all. And she's saying, please take me along when you slide on down. Nice, sure looks good. Skate a little lower now. The Cuervo Gold, the fine Colombian, make tonight a wonderful thing. See, the fine Colombian, I'm like, I don't know, 1980, Colombia, that sounds like cocaína to me. Sounds like cocaine to me. The Cuervo Gold is alcohol. So maybe it's, I don't know, yeah, 1980. So it must have been the same law. So she's probably too young to drink, right? Because she's not 21 yet. Just for clarification, Gloria Gaynor was the one that sang I Will Survive. Not the other black lady that, our chick, Donna Summers. I guess they all look the same to you, huh? I'm fucking with you. I originally said that Aretha Franklin sang this song and he was correcting me. That's what happened. It's nothing to do with anything. This is for people. I haven't been around in a while, so I'm worried that people are not going to get the humor. Okay, so the Cuervo Gold, the fine Colombian, make tonight a wonderful thing. So it could just be the Jose Cuervo. He's from Colombia, so it doesn't have to be cocaine, which is probably that. Okay, so let's go with the Jose Cuervo. But the girl is not old enough to drink yet. So that's one. The Fine Colombian, the Cuervo Gold, and it pretty much repeats that over and over again. So this is sort of like a backhanded sort of love letter to the music that he grew up with, basically, I think. Because he's basically saying, like, the music is so important to me that no matter how pretty you are, no matter how beautiful you are, no matter how young you are, yep, I'm getting up there in age. If you can't rock with me with Aretha Franklin, I don't want nothing to do with you. And I gotta say, like, in the age... in the Black Man in Distress, all the oldies and goodies are coming out here. In the age of the Epstein files and the all of our celebrities being absolute disgusting pigs, I think it's really awesome, actually, that you had a guy that wasn't saying, well, she's legal, haha, you know. Like, I'm really glad that he was like, nah, I'm getting older, we don't got nothing in common. And to be honest with you, like, there's a giant bit of mystery to me in the Epstein files. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'll tell you why. Because I'm a man with daughters, right? And you know, my kids, they, you know, obviously I'm above average as far as like being a cool dad. And so my kids like hanging out with me a lot. Well, I always say, like, yo, you guys get out there. You guys are whack ass teenagers. Get out there, make some friends, get in trouble. Police should be calling me. What are y'all doing? And they're like, so I'm looking outside, right? And I see these girls. And I go to the girls and I go, hey, you guys should, you confirm that's Zoe?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys should go out and play with those kids. They're your age, right? The kids are like, the girls are like between 16 and 18, right? I'm like, they're your age. Go play. And they're like, Dad, that person's 22 years old. Like, my perception of what a teenager is and what a person in their early 20s is non-existent. The ability to parse that is non-existent. It's not immediately obvious to me anymore that a 20-year-old is different than a 16, 17-year-old. They both look the same to me. So that was a giant mystery to me in the Epstein files. Is at my age, I'm not able to discern between a 20-year-old and a teenager. So you're in your 60s. How do you even get to be attracted to somebody that age? Those are now your grandkids. I'm looking at these kids like these could be my kids. The Epstein shit is these could be your grandkids. How do you even get to the point where you could perform the crime? You guys understand what I'm saying? It's just weird to me. I don't understand that. And like, to me, this is more in line with how most dudes are. Like a 19-year-old girl who you can't relate to, that's the other thing. Like, aside from the sexual aspect of the relationship, you got Bill Belichick, who's with this 24-year-old. Like, that girl was like, she's 24. That means she wasn't even born when Brady won his first title. What are we doing? How do you even relate to this girl? What do you have in common? This girl could be your granddaughter. What the hell do you even have in common with a girl that age, bruh? So I really, 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 really like this song because it really articulates something really cool. And, you know, on the one hand, it's kind of like silly. Like, if you don't like Aretha Franklin, I can't rock with you. But there's something really good and wholesome to me about the fact that he's saying, you're 19, you're beautiful, I acknowledge it, but I can't rock with you. We got nothing in common. The shit that's the most important to me, you're clueless about, I'm good. I love that. And for all the ladies honestly, in the world of Epstein and all that, that's the majority report for most of us. Most of us are like that. Most of us are not like what you see in the Epstein files. The Epstein files is not a cross segment of dudes all over the place. It's a specific kind of individual, and those individuals are absolutely rare. Right? Because, I mean, you wouldn't even be able to be allowed, on their island. They'd shoot you if you were a normal person. So, think about that the next time you see this stuff. There are definitely sickos, especially there are sickos in the music industry. I understand that. But, let me see what Pony says. Kind of crazy how people view the 1950s as wholesome, but you listen to the music from them and it's pretty freaking gross. 20, 30-year-old guys singing about 15-year-old girls and how he wants her. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Like, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But the crazy thing is, like, the Rolling Stones are doing all this weird stuff, dude from Zeppelin, like, was doing a bunch of weird stuff with their groupies and stuff. But again, these are extremely famous people. They're rare. They're not the majority report of dudes all over the place. So, I'm going to give this song a 9.5 just for the message. Just for the message, man. Like, it's a sorely needed message today. Pony's correct. The era through the 70s constantly wrote about being attracted to underage girls. It's shocking if you read the lyrics today. Correct. So I'm going to give this one a 9.5 as a nod to the homie and an acknowledgement that yes, there are sickos out there. Yes, we're in the era of Me Too, but there's also this around. So don't hate us all, ladies. All right, guys. I still think we got music. We got music to go. We got more music for you beautiful people. Let's see. What's next? Let's see. Sex Pistols. Let's see. All right. Here go the Sex Pistols. This is going to be a very interesting contrast. So we just got done talking about this guy's. This is going to be interesting. All right. For the winner, hold on. That's 107. Hey, Ben, let's do timestamp 107.45. 107.45. And then the previous one, the timestamp, just put it at, I think it was 50. Not sure. Vin, I'm kind of missing the commercial. I'll make sure the commercial comes back tomorrow. I lost the video for the commercial, so I gotta refire it up. But it's there. I'll make sure it's there tomorrow for you complaining ass. All right, guys, here we go. Song number 4 or 5, I'm not sure. This is the Sex Pistols. The name of this song is Anarchy in the UK. Anarchy in the UK. This should be interesting. By the Sex Pistols, Anarchy in the UK. I think we've covered a Sex Pistols song before. I think it was God Save the Queen or whatever, and they were like basically like blaspheming the Queen. I thought that was pretty brave of them. As Americans, I don't really, I didn't really have a context to really understand a lot of that stuff, so it was very informative. What's up, Sean? Overshadow Sean and this bitch. Good to see you, baby. Okay, here we go. Sex Pistols. Sex Pistols. The name of the song is Anarchy. Something like that. Anarchy in the UK. Here we go now.
Yikes! Now! Cause
not think he was gonna do that. That's pretty badass. Shout out to this program. Okay. What time is the show tomorrow? I don't know. I don't know what time the show is tomorrow. I'll let you guys know, inshallah. You need to get on the Facebook page. That's when I tell everybody what time these shows are going to come on. If you're not on the Facebook page, then you won't know. It's facebook.com/Village Store if you want to get into the village and get all the updates. There you are, dear listener. Okay, so I was shocked because it literally starts off with the dude claiming that he's Antichrist or the Antichrist. He says, I am an Antichrist. So that's really interesting. Because the term Antichrist, a lot of people like really don't understand what the term actually means. For example, in the book of Revelation, the term Antichrist is never used. Not one time. Jesus, when he's talking about the end of the world, never uses the term Antichrist. Never. The term Antichrist is used by the Apostle John, and he's specifically talking about a group called the Gnostics. Okay? So, John says that anyone who denies that Jesus has come in the flesh is Antichrist. He has denied both the Father and the Son. So he starts off and he tells everybody, look, I know you've heard that the Antichrist is coming into the world. But he says, many Antichrists have already come. And he specifically says, the person who denies that Jesus came in the flesh is the liar and an Antichrist. Okay? So Antichrist has to do with a theological perspective that Jesus hadn't actually come as a actual full human being. Okay? So that's where the context of the term came from. It's a theological term that denies that Jesus was who he said he was. It's a theological term that denies that Jesus was the promised Messiah. All the stuff that gets read into the Antichrist and all the theology that gets poured into the Antichrist, I understand it because he's kind of set up as a foil over and against Jesus. So I understand that part of it. But that the idea of a guy who comes and takes over the world and all that and everybody calls him the Antichrist is nowhere in the Bible. It's just not there. But there's also the generalized understanding of anti-Christianity in the sense of you are directly against Jesus Christ himself. And that has a bunch of iterations and manifestations. So he goes, I am an Antichrist and I am an anarchist, which is, I like what he did there. So he accented anarchist to rhyme with Antichrist, right? So my relationship to the concept of anarchy is very, very interesting. When I first heard about anarchy, I was like, I don't know, man. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever to me. My formative years, I came up in New York City. So, to me, I saw what happens when people aren't worried about the law. Right? Like I saw, like people talk about like crime. They'll say, how are you going to manage crime in an anarchist situation? People say that will self-correct because people will get revenge, right? The natural flow of things is going to correct itself. You don't need a police officer or whatever because justice is going to get mediated to whoever did what. I understand that. But when you actually play it out in the real world, that's not what happens. When, I'm going to be very general here. When somebody does something and hurts your friends, nobody is talking about we are going to be exactly the same level to them. Right? So like if the person jumped your friend and caused him like 10 units of pain, nobody's sitting around saying, all right, we got to have 10 units of pain and we got to make sure we don't exceed the limits. That's not happening. What's happening is You're all caught up in this emotional frenzy. Your friend is there. He's hurt. He's bleeding. He's whatever. He's got a scar. He's got a puffy eye. He's got to walk through school. Everybody in school knows what happened to him. And you lose your mind. You temporarily go crazy. And the fix that you have to make that right is almost never going to be measured or equivalent. It is always going to be more. And that's the reason why in the Old Testament, God had to give us the lex talionis, eye for an eye, tooth for tooth. That was not a passage that was saying, here, let's go get him. You know, of eye for an eye, let's leave the whole world blind. That's not what's happening. What's happening is you cannot exceed the limits. If somebody takes out your eye, you can only do one eye. You cannot kill them. That was the problem. That was what was going on. And so that's like my biggest thing with anarchy, which is my biggest problem with a lot of these systems, is that to me, anarchy doesn't deal with the fact that human beings are sinful. Anarchy assumes something about human nature that is just not true. That is to say that human nature kind of defaults to egalitarianism, this idea that all of us are equal. Anarchy assumes, I think, that human nature has evolved beyond our sinful tendencies, and I just don't think that that's true. In any system or situation, the people who are stronger are always going to take advantage of people who are weaker than them. That's just, it's not something you can change with an externalized economic system. The only thing that can change, this was a Sex Pistols song where the guy was talking about being an anarchist and an antichrist. The only thing that's going to generate real change is an internal change within the person. External changes like laws or economic systems or socio-political systems like democracy and things like that, secularists are always coming up with some sort of way or solution to the problem. And because they don't believe in the doctrine of original sin, and because they don't believe in sin at all, because the minute you believe in sin, then you have to have a lawgiver and all the rest of it. We don't want to go there because we don't want to acknowledge God. We just want to build a society that affords us all the benefits that Christianity gives us without actually having to report to God, which is fine. You could do that if you'd like, but I'm just saying the logical syllogism doesn't work. What we've seen as the pattern of human history is that literally without fail, every single time there's been a people that has had power over another people, that power has been abused and used incorrectly. And so, like, if you look at things like the communist revolutions, you know, around World War II, they were extremely bloody and extremely costly. But the reason it was so popular is because the system they were critiquing, they had a right to critique. It was horrible. The system that they were in was horrible. So the reason why, you know, when you look at how violent these uprisings are, and Marx was the kind of guy, Marx explicitly stated that violence, the proletariat exercising violence against the bourgeoisie is not only acceptable, but essentially should be encouraged. It was definitely not something that he discouraged ever. And so, like, the people under the boot of capitalism or imperialism have a legitimate gripe, right? That's a legitimate gripe. The problem is their solution was also oppressive and horrible and bloody. And they created a system that was so miserable that people were trying to leave it in droves. And so it's like, don't you believe that capitalism is a dangerous, terrible system, especially if you're on the wrong side of it? I absolutely do. That doesn't make me a communist. Because when I look at the communist revolution, I go, y'all didn't really solve the problem. You just shifted who the villains were. That's it. And so, like, the person or group of people that figure out that the real problem is not externalized political systems, the real problem are people. Once we understand that, then we're going to be able to actually create systems that actually deal with something. Right? But right now, all of us are like circling around the issue, acting like if we just come up with the right algorithm for an economic system, then all of a sudden we're going to stop taking advantage of each other. We're going to stop having dichotomies between the powerful and the powerless, right? I just want to say thank you. Because of you and Sorry, I and my whole family became closer to God. I came to troll you but found God again, and because of the Bible boogies, you got Jake pious as fuck. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I have some surprises for you guys coming down the pike that I think you in particular will enjoy, but I'm not going to share that yet. Really good song. You know, when I look at the aesthetics of this band, they kind of have like this unserious, haha, we're like proto-punk. But this is the second time I've reviewed this band, and they're saying some real shit here that's like really making you think. Like, I could go all day with this stuff. I won't, but I could. I'm very fascinated by this band in the sense of like, you're pretending that you're just like randomly talking about stuff and it's punk and we're not really, you know, we're not really up on stuff, but they're really up on stuff, and they're really making some serious societal commentary. I think that's intriguing. I hope there's more from this band at some point. Like, are they mostly political? Are they, you know, or is that just the punk thing? Like you're just gonna lash out at the biggest sacred cow? I don't really know what their shtick is, but even if they did it accidentally, this is still some legendary shit in my mind. This song, to me, man, I look at the time period. I'm assuming this has got to be one of their bigger, more famous songs. Just that first, "I'm an Antichrist" or whatever. What? They only released one album? No way. Is that true? One album? Alright, I gotta give this song a 9.8, guys. I'm sorry. I did enjoy it. And actually, one of the ways that I gauge stuff is like, would I listen to it again? That's true, right? That's voluntary. But would I listen to it again involuntarily? Meaning, when you're just going around during the day or whatever, and you get a little gap, and then within that gap, you're saying, "I am the Antichrist," meaning like it's in your head and you really can't get it out of your. You know, Jonathan Davis, he calls that witchcraft or whatever. That's why I'm giving it that score, because it's something that's going to stick in your head and you're not going to be able to get it out. Punk is essentially 90% political. That's part of the ethos itself. Okay, I mean, that makes sense. But these guys seem to be really plugged in. There seems to be a lot of material in this day and age for punk rockers to come out. There needs to be a punk rock band that comes out and goes after some of this stuff. Like, what the hell? Like, it's right there for you. Thorn says, let me see internal Thorn. What did you say? The context of Margaret Thatcher, Britain, 1979 to 1999. Hated for cuts, no society attitude, perfect fuel for punk rage and no future. Oh, yeah. I mean, our government currently is giving the punks a lot of stuff to talk about, right? I mean, where y'all at? What y'all doing? There should be a punk rock band that, like, features a rapper. That would be perfect, like, right now. Just go after Epstein. You know what I'm saying? Right now is Green Day putting up their fist at the admin at the Super Bowl halftime show. Yeah, I mean, that's okay. That's all right. Yeah. Shout out to Green Day and Bad Bunny. But guess what, guys? We still got more music on the way. Ben, are you still checking? Are you still checking, Benji? All right, guys, this is from the XU. This is Metal Sludge or post-metal is the genre. I usually like post-metal, so I'm very curious to hear this song. Let's see what they say. Oh, this is from Kellendross. My boy. Tombs is a blackened post-metal band from Brooklyn, New York. The song is from the third studio album, Savage Gold, which came out in 2014. They've actually been around since 2007, and they have a new album coming out in October of this year. The pick was from Archero. Archero is hell. All right, so let's do it. This is the band. Let's go with 128 for the timestamp, Benji. 128 for the timestamp. The name of this band is Tombs. The name of the song is Seance. 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 Man, that sounds kind of... All right, let's do it. Tombs, Seance, let's go.
Thank
of the night. It had tremolo picking. It had the chunk. I understand. Oh, Vin, you're a caveman, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I do not care. I love the hell out of that shit. That's so good. I love tremolo picking. Tremolo picking is legit. It's the most beautiful sound that the guitar can make. And then here comes Dwayne. Dwayne out here booing. That's how I know. That's how I know God hates you, Dwayne. You out here booing tremolo picking. All right, let's check it out. So he's talking about seance. Its name is memory. It lives inside your flesh. Serpent strikes, feeding on itself. The serpent's eyes stare into forever. The world of memory exists outside of time. Serpent's eyes, timeless thoughts complete the chain. Immortality. I hear the call from beyond this realm. Exist outside of time. Man. There is so much I could say about what this man just said. First of all, seance, if I'm right, is where you get together with a medium or something like that and you attempt to make contact with the dead. I think that's the goal. Obviously, God in the Bible says not to do that, but let's table that for a second. Part of me is like, okay, what is the point of doing a seance? Why are you trying to get hold of this person who's dead? And people say, well, that's a dumb question. You miss them. Or you want to know if they're good. Or you got some unresolved issue and you want to know if the person has forgiven you or whatever. And so people who are in a lot of pain are going to these people and saying, can you connect me with this person? And for whatever reason, God says, don't do that. Its name is memory. It lives inside of your flesh. These are people that you remember, though. Right? And it's not like, when somebody dies, you go, okay, well, they're in the past, I got to move on. If you really genuinely love that person, then the memory of them is almost a tangible corporeal thing, right? It's almost something that has its own physical property and things like that. And so its name is memory. It lives inside your flesh. So it's like, and the interesting thing about memory is that it doesn't exist within time. And he basically says that. But that's the thing that's really crazy. Because if you say that memory lives outside of time, then you immediately get into this trilemma. I'm not the one that introduced myself to this trilemma. This is Bernardo Cascia. But he said, our tripartite breaking down of time indicates that we don't believe time is real. Say, what the hell are you talking about? Bernardo says, okay, what is the past? You say, oh, the past is something that happened already. You say, okay, where is the past? Where can I measure it? Well, you can't. It's the concept of, it's in your mind. So Bernardo says, okay, so the concept of the past itself is just in your mind. There's nothing that you could show me or put in a lab that says, okay, this is time and it's past. Yeah, that's true. Okay. All right, cool. He says, what's the future? You say, well, the future is us, that hasn't happened yet. And he goes, okay, so the future is just a concept in your mind. It's not an actual thing. And you go, well, yeah, that's true. So then he puts you in a corner, right? And you say, well, we're in the eternal now. We're in the present. So yes, the past is a figment of your imagination. That's true. The future is a figment of your imagination, but the present is real. And then he says, when are you ever in the present? Because the minute you say you're in the present, that moment's gone and now you're in the past. Well, the present is like the nowness of now. Yeah, but the minute that you have a now, it's gone. So you don't have the what you're calling the present is just a construction you made in your mind. And you go, yeah, that's true, because the minute you identify the present, it's already past. So you're never going to be in the present. He said, then where am I? And he says, that's because none of you believe that time is real. You are just using these concepts as a means of organizing reality so that you can have some sort of legibility in the experience that you're having. So you don't really believe that time is real, but you pretend as if it is because it has a great organizing principle in your life. What the hell, dude? That is brilliant. Okay, so it says, its name and memory, it lives inside of your flesh. The serpent strikes, right? The serpent's eyes stare into the world forever. The world of memory exists outside of time. Timeless thoughts complete the chain. Immortality. I hear the call far beyond this realm to exist outside of time. And the issue is, we already exist outside of time, as I've just demonstrated. Right? So, Russell says the past is literally anything in front of you. Our moon is 2 seconds in the past. Mars is 20 minutes in the past. The sun 8 minutes. But again, what you call the past is a mental construction. It's not something that you can put into a lab, right? You can't measure the past in a lab. The past is a concept. The future is a concept, and the present is a concept. They're not actual realities with extension in time and space, right? So, that being the case, when we think about things like memories and things like that, then the question is, in what area of realities do memories exist? You say, well, it exists in my head. Okay. Let me ask another question. We all believe in the laws of logic. Where in reality do the laws of logic exist? People say the same place where memories exist, your mind. Well, wait a second, though. You believe the logical law of non-contradiction is real. You believe that that's real. Because when you say you're contradicting yourself, you automatically are implying that that inconsistency means that you're wrong, which is, I'm rocking with you. I'm rocking with that idea. But since the laws of logic are real, that means they predated humanity, right? But the only way to access those laws are through mentation. But these logical laws were true before human beings showed up. People say, well, we'll use a scientific method to ascertain where it came from. No, you won't. You know why? Because the scientific method is based on the laws of logic. The scientific method assumes the laws of logic. So you can't use a scientific method to get to logic when logic is the means by which you got the scientific method. Logic is real, has ramifications in this world, has extension in some reality, and is timeless that everybody's bound to. That sounds a lot like God to me. That's what it sounds like to me. I do think that the author of this song is correct in that there is a realm in which timelessness is there. And when I say timelessness, I'm saying even the concept itself, the false concept that we've constructed of past, present, future, even that itself, there's a realm in which all of these things have some sort of existence, but it's not here. And I think that's one of the things that, like, you really got to challenge. You know, people talk about challenging their own worldviews and stuff like that. You got to challenge all those assumptions, and you have to justify all these assumptions. This feels like a trippy scene from Doctor Strange movie where he's falling through the crazy dimensions. Well, I mean, that's one of the things that Doctor Strange is trying to communicate, you know, in the song, right? Like, I'm sorry, in the show, the movies, the comics, Doctor Strange, like, what's one of the things that they're trying to communicate is that you have to assume a lot of concepts in order to assume that time is an actual real thing. And we know that the laws of logic are real things, but the laws of logic do not have extension in time and space. And so this is something that, like, Plato was dealing with himself. Like, where are the original forms, right? So, like, if there's a wheel, right, that's a wheel in a circle, right? Plato's like, there is an original wheel somewhere. There's some realm where there's an original wheel, and all these wheels that we're seeing in different iterations of circularity are basically copies of that one original form, okay? And so that concept became, you see this in the Bible, where the author of Hebrews says that the temple in heaven is the real temple, and the temple down here was a shadow of the temple up there. That's a Platonic idea, right? Which also goes to the idea, oh, the people who wrote the Bible were backwards fishermen or goat herders, Bronze Age idiots. Like, these people were extremely sophisticated. They were talking about logos theology. They were talking about Platonism, and they were dealing with the ramifications of how to harmonize a Hebrew understanding of the world with this Platonism that they all ran into, especially at the higher levels of education, like the Apostle Paul. They're wrestling with these concepts. So in this song, where it's like, oh, it's a seance, so why are we talking about things like, you know, boring philosophy like time and things like that? Because all those things are interconnected. The reason the person is talking about memories is because a dead person only exists now in your memories as a concept. I actually like what happens on Fortnite. There's some guys when you kill them in Fortnite, like, they pretty much stay there, they're just blue. Right? So they're dead, but they're not really dead. That's kind of what happens. And as a person who's, like, lost a bunch of people, that's one of the worst things about it, is that the memory starts to fade. The voice, like, I'm not, like, my mom, like, if she called me right now, I would be able to I would know that it's her. But I don't, her voice is like, I'm losing it. Yeah. So anyway, the point then is to, a couple things. One, if you've lost somebody, the person in the seance is not the person that you love. The Bible's pretty clear on this. The point of one man wants to die, then after that the judgment. So whoever you're talking to in the seance is not your granny or whoever. I hate to break it to you. The second thing is, if you have people in your life who love you and who you love, don't take that shit for granted. Because time is coming where you'd give anything to have one more conversation with them. So if they're there, appreciate them while they're there, because they ain't going to be around forever. I love this song. It's a song of the night for me. I'm going to give this joint a 9.8. The 9.8. Time is now. AT, you said time is now. Tell me what now is, AT. Tell me what now is. Are you ever in now? The minute you identify now, now is the past. Now is just as much of a concept as the past and the future is. All three divisions of time only exist in your mind. None of them exist in actual objective reality. This song was a 9.8. I really, really enjoyed it. This band was super deep. I know I kind of went off on some philosophy, whatever, but you guys know how I get down. I couldn't let lyrics like that just stay and not deal with them. These are really, really deep lyrics. What if she returned to me in a dream? I'm so grateful for how real it felt, a real gift. Well, if you have a dream about somebody, that is a completely different thing than going to a medium and trying to talk to your Aunt Sally. I believe that people do come to us in dreams. The scripture says, though, that it is God who is speaking to us. So Job 33, it says, why do you speak against him, saying that he doesn't answer man's words? So the person is saying, God doesn't listen to me. And the person comes back and says, why are you saying that as if God doesn't answer man's word? And then he says this, but God does speak. How? In one way and in two, though man may not perceive it. Then he says, in a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls on men. So the Bible tells us explicitly that God absolutely speaks to us, specifically in dreams and visions of the night, to get our attention. Now, with that as a backdrop, if you saw somebody you lost and you loved in a dream, and it gave you comfort, and it gave you a sense of well-being, and it assisted you in the letting go process of this person, I know what you're talking about, then I would say that that's valid and there's no reason to doubt it. What I would say, though, is that don't let the gratefulness or the happiness terminate on her. You should let the gratefulness and the happiness terminate on the God who sent that to you to give you comfort, to give you strength, and to help you move on from her. Make sense? So that's something completely separate from going to visit a medium, right? That was a good question. No, I knew you weren't trying to argue. So that's how I would interpret the dream if she returned to you. If you had a dream about her, that's amazing, and I'm glad that you got that gift. That's really good. Now I'm like, where's my dream at? What the hell? But I got too many people all over there, man. Okay, 9.8. We got one more. We have one more song, I believe. Judas Priest, War Pigs. Wonder what that's going to be about. I wonder what that's going to be about. I could forget my parents' voices, but I don't want to forget their laughter. I never forget. I refuse to forget. That's really good. That's really, really good, Pony. One of the things I'm learning is that grief is a skill. There are people that do grief really, really, really well. And then there are people that don't do grief really well. And I think one of the big things, just like with everything, it's about balance. It's about understanding what you can keep and what you have to let go. It's about understanding what you can forgive and what you need God to make up the difference for. There's a lot. There's a lot that you learn about grief, but grief itself is a skill. And it's a massively underdeveloped skill for obvious reasons. And that's as much as I'll say about that. All right, guys, we got one more song. Timestamp. Let's do 1:52:30 for the timestamp, Benji. This is Judas Priest. I knew it. It was a cover. I'm pretty excited because, to be honest with you guys, we gave War Pigs a pretty high one because I was shocked at how heavy the song I thought was for back in the day. But anyway, here we go. Black Sabbath created an entirely new genre of music in 1969 that would come to be known as heavy metal. The godfathers of metal embarked upon a career of 56 years and 19 studio albums, culminating in their final performance on 5 July 2025. Our poll paid tribute to the legacy left by this band. Submissions could be actual Black Sabbath song covers or Black Sabbath songs themselves or other bands featuring members of Sabbath. The winner was another titan of metal, Judas Priest, and their cover of the beloved War Pigs, which was released shortly before the final Sabbath concert. Northern Scoundrel nominated this song, and he had this to add. In 2004, Ozfest, Rob Halford, for those of you who don't know, that's a singer of the band. One of my favorite vocalists in the world, and me and him have a history. It's very interesting. Rob Halford was just back in Judas Priest, and they were in Philly when Rob got a phone call at the hotel. It was Sharon Osbourne. Ozzy had come down with bronchitis and she was wondering if he could help Ozzy out for one of the shows. Rob thought, you do not say no to Sharon Osbourne, and asked her, how many songs do you want me to do? She says, the whole show. Rob, oh? And when do you want me to do it? Tonight. You kidding me? That is insane. That is freaking insane. That gave Rob no time to prepare, but as he thought to himself, you do not say no to Sharon Osbourne, he says, yeah, all right then. Apart from minor issues, the set went flawless. Afterwards, as I sat down eating dinner with Thomas, his longtime partner and now husband, at the hotel, I felt like I had been in a dream. Northern Scoundrel would personally like to thank Ozzy for the live show experience 11 years ago in Munich, Germany with Black Sabbath. They rocked. Jesus, please talk to Ozzy and communicate to him what Northern Scoundrel just said. It's me, so I know you're going to do it. Thank you. All right, Northern Scoundrel, there you go. Ozzy now receives your thanks, and we are about to do this song. This is the most appropriate phrase ever. Legends covering legends, subhanAllah. You're exactly right. All right, guys, let's do it. One more song for the night, for the road. Ozzy, motherfucking Osbourne. You guys know what it is. You know what it is. You guys don't know what it is. We say that all the time in the hood, and to be honest with you, I don't really know why we say it. You know what it is? I don't know what that means. You usually say that when you're about to rob somebody. Like, you know what this is. But other than that, I don't really know what this is, to be honest with you. All right. Judas Priest, War Pigs, none of you care. Let's go. Imagine being a kid.
Generals gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses. Evil minds that plot destruction, sorcerers of death's construction. In the fields, the bodies burning, machine keeps turning. Death and hatred to mankind, poisoning their brainwashed minds. Oh Lord, yeah. darkness, world stops turning. Ashes where the body's burning. No more war pigs have the power. Hand of God has struck the hour. Day of judgment, God is calling. On their knees, the war pigs crawling, begging mercies for their sins. Satan laughing spreads his wings. Oh Lord, yeah.
Okay, I lied to you guys. Song of the night. Sorry. Song of the night. 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 Shout out to all the gangsters in Omaha, freaking Nebraska. Shout out to Sean James, 08X. Listen, guys. This has got to be the song of the night. Okay? First of all, they did a badass cover. I understand, Dwayne, that it wasn't Tony Iommi because Judas Priest was covering the song. I understand that, dumb butt. But it was still Iommi stuff, bro. Dude, this song, and the way that they covered it, first of all, shout out to Halford for this, because you guys know what Halford could do vocally. But he respected the fact that this is not a Judas Priest song. This is a Black Sabbath song. So he kept it, he applied the appropriate restraint, and this is what I'm talking about. Like, when you get into art, and when you start getting good, you start to realize that there's so many things that you can do. And you go through these stages where it's like for example, like if you look at the one solo that I published, I'm going like 1,000,000 miles an hour right from the gate. I only slow down because I literally, my hand got tired and I wasn't able to finish the thing like completely. But like when you're inexperienced and you're not that good, when you learn something like that, you just ride on it. There's no restraint whatsoever. But when you're naturally gifted, you don't have to go to like the extremes to make the thing work. You see what I'm saying? He applied the appropriate restraint. He understood it was a Sabbath song, and his voice still came out as great, but he respected the fact that it was a Sabbath song. That's a very, 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 very hard thing to balance out as an artist. That's number one. Number two is, it is so crazy to me that have to have these conversations. It's just, it's absolutely mind-boggling that we have to have these discussions. And I'm so happy. I mean, we're just going to say it. We went after the Iranians for no reason. The Iranians pose absolutely no threat to the United States of America, imminent or otherwise. How do I know? Well, I know because we killed Qasem Soleimani. They did nothing to us. We, quote unquote, according to Trump, totally obliterated their nuclear capabilities. We completely bombed them. By the way, people have to understand, when we bombed the Iranians over the summer, they were literally in the midst of peace talks with us. Say that again. When we bombed these people the first time, they were literally in negotiations for peace with us. And we bombed them. And they still did nothing to retaliate against us. But now, after the complete obliteration of their nuclear capabilities, these people are now telling us that Iran was an imminent threat. And we murdered those girls in that school because the Iranians were supposedly an imminent threat. And that's why, and again, this is so fascinating because this song was at kind of like at the beginning of Ozzy's career. The first song we looked at was at the end of his career. The first song at the end of his career was about God and his faith in God and asking God to bring him through the dark night of his soul. This song, look what he's saying. Time will tell on their power minds and making war just for fun, treating people just like pawns in chess. Wait till the judgment day comes. This is a prophetic mantle. A lot of people think that the job of the prophet is about fortune telling, foretelling the future. When in reality, the main job of the prophet was forthtelling. Go forth and tell these people that they're not treating people the way God wants people to be treated. It was then that they would predict bad things are going to happen to you if you don't stop. So the fortune telling, the future telling of the prophet wasn't a, parlor trick. Let me read your sign or whatever. It was, God tells us how we're supposed to treat the orphan, the widow, the stranger, etc. How we're supposed to treat the poor. Don't exploit them, etc., etc. God tells us how to do that. And look how we're living. We're exploiting the poor. We're not good to the widow. We're not good to the orphan. We're not good to the sojourner. So we need to change. That's a prophetic mantle. Then here's the future telling. If we don't change, God is going to show up and kill everybody. So what he's doing right here is prophetic. These people are pigs, they're horrible, they're unclean, and God is going to judge them. That's an Old Testament prophet right there. And then he begins to explain the day of judgment. Look right there. Hold on. Now in darkness, world stops turning because the judgment's happening. Ashes where the body's burning. No more war pigs for the power. Hand of God has struck the hour. Okay, so he said in the stage. Day of judgment. Look at this. Day of judgment. God is calling. On their knees, the war pigs crawling, begging mercy for their sins. Satan laughing, spreading wings. Okay. I mean, obviously, I don't believe that Satan's going to be laughing on the day of judgment at all about anything, but you get the point. How old was Aisha? Aisha was 6 when the prophet married her and 9 when he sexually assaulted her. I used to say 9 when he consummated the relationship, but that's bullshit. He raped that little girl. She was 9 years old. 9-year-olds can't consent. I don't care what anybody says. That's the position. And I love Muhammad, by the way, but I'm not here to run propaganda for Muhammad. Okay, so right there, he's talking about the day of judgment, the day that God judges them. And he says, you war pigs, you're going to be crawling on your knees, and then you're going to be asking for forgiveness of your sins. And by then it'll be too late. That's crazy. It's just so crazy to me that at the beginning of his career, he's bringing up God, and at the end of career, he brings up God, and we've got this perception of this guy that he's like, you know, I get it, the Prince of Darkness, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, he kind of deserves it in the sense of that's what he was, you know, promoting and freaking these parents out about. So I understand that, but at the same time, it's like, come on, guys. Like, listen to what the man was actually saying. And look, when my country, and everybody knows, if you know me, if you've been on the channel long enough, you can put 2 and 2 together. But my country has been sending young people to go out, young impressionable people to go out and kill and die for this country when none of the people that we fought in the Jihad had a quarrel with us, even knew what the hell we were. You had people in Afghanistan that did not even know what we were. Knew nothing about America, never heard of us, and we're out here killing these folks. When it came out that we tomahawk missiled and murdered those girls in that Iranian school, Lindsey Graham gets on TV talking about we bombed the hell out of them. We bombed the hell out of them. Ha ha ha. We bombed the hell out of them. Laughing. And I had a Christian. I'd be careful how I say this. In my view, there's only one real group that is proudly and vocally supporting this bloodletting, and it's evangelical Christians. I'm sorry. But even the most die-hard MAGA people, and I'm not going to say MAGA crazies, but even the most die-hard MAGA people are like, yo, this ain't it, bruh. This ain't it. So the die-hard MAGA people are turning on this guy. The only people that are staying fiercely loyal to this man are my team. Well, my team and the Israeli team. Let's just be real. You got to deal with that. As a Christian, I have to deal with that. I have to deal with the fact that in this channel, I have atheist friends. I have agnostic friends. I don't know friends. I don't know, just take these shroom friends. And all of us in our community, whatever you believe about God, whatever, everybody here, in my view, has the right posture, which is, this is fucked up what we're doing to these people. What are you guys doing? And we have people in this forum Controller is one of them, that have sounded the alarm about this dude. I don't know if evangelicals are still supporting this guy because they voted for him, but then I go, that doesn't work, because all the former MAGA people voted for him, and they're still coming out saying this is too far. I don't understand. Thank you, Sean. Thank you. I don't understand where this. I do understand to some degree, because these people have a theology that says that everything has to get really, really terrible, and then the worse things get, we're going to be able to escape because God's going to zap us away in the rapture, right? So when you have that mentality, the good of the world really isn't your goal, because they have the belief that everything is going to get progressively worse. I remember one of them. He used to be one of my favorite preachers. This was one of the last things I heard from him. He said he was mocking people, social justice warriors. He was mocking them because, as he said, like, I mean, God makes it clear everything is going to go to shit. So these people out here trying to fix something that God already said is going to shit. He doesn't. God doesn't say that anywhere in the Bible. But we continue. And he basically said it's like rearranging the furniture on the Titanic. So he looks at social justice activism as you're rearranging furniture on the Titanic. So from that standpoint, if you're so obsessed with getting raptured and escaping all the troubles of this world, so many times when you look at the TV, I remember growing up hearing this Bible study. Just there was one guy, he'd close his eyes and like count to 10, be like, oh, the rapture happened. Anytime he saw something bad, it was the rapture. It's like, okay, so we've got this escapist theology, and it's so crazy to me because it's like we're the richest fucking country on the planet. What are we escaping from? I can understand the Afghan people coming up with escapist ideology. That's a hard life, man. That is a hard life over there in Afghanistan. I'm not even talking about the warfare or whatever. Just the terrain. We're the most comfortable people on the face of the earth. Americans will execute you if they turn on their water and it doesn't turn hot quick enough. And yet, we have this escapist ideology that has now calloused our hearts in such a way that we're happy when we hear about all this carnage, because to us, that means that we're going to get raptured and we're going to be able to escape. And at this point, at this juncture, we have to be very careful with language. But at this juncture, I'm specifically talking about the Lindsey Graham type supporters, okay? I'm not talking about, because you guys know how I am. During the entire Biden administration, you were my witnesses. I said we should not make fun of him, we should not mock him, because the scripture says you shall not speak evil of a ruler of your people. I never one time made any jokes about Biden, not one time. I did make a joke about his son, and then somebody immediately rebuked me and said, you moron, his brother died, and then he spiraled after his brother died. And I was wrong for that, right? All that to say, I respect the position that God has put Mr. Trump in, because the Bible says that whoever's in authority was put there by God. However, that book was written while Nero was the emperor. So the fact that God put that man there and we have to respect him does not mean that he's doing a good thing or even that he's operating according to the will of God. Very, very important. It is we're in a situation now where we are responsible. You know, we were responsible as proxies for what happened in Gaza because we provide the weapons and things like that for them to do what they did to those people. But we're not proxies here. We're the direct actor. We did this to those girls. And for Lindsey Graham to get on TV with this arrogant smile, talking about all the thing, how we blew these people up, a day after it came out that we were the ones that did it, is you're in a death cult. I'm sorry. If you look at what that man did and you can justify it, you're in a fucking death cult. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that if you support Trump as a president that you're in a death cult, because I understand. What I'm saying is, if you're not horrified and heartbroken and you don't hate the fact that I saw another one, a little boy, his dad got split in two right in front of him. And he's questioning Allah, saying it should have been me instead of my father. I said, man, there's no fucking child that should ever say that about their father. We're the ones that would rather die for our kids, not vice versa, but this kid was so traumatized. We're doing that to people. We are doing that to people. And our leaders are arrogant. I'm sorry, but I gotta disagree with you. Mr. Trump said, yeah, like we're kind of over there. It's kind of like a habit, you know. Somebody could make the argument that we shouldn't be there, but you know. Mr. Trump came out yesterday and said that nobody could have predicted that all the ancillary attacks that the Iranians did, nobody could have predicted they would have done that. Nobody could have predicted what they did with the Strait of Hormuz. Bullshit! You had a dude that was an expert that warned you of this shit in 2023 and you fired him from your advisory committee. He had people that were telling him this was a terrible idea. And he's got people right now, including folks in the military, they're trying to come up with ways to get the fuck out of Iran. So no, I don't believe that Mr. Trump did everything that he could to stop this from happening. I don't believe that. I'm not going to get into what I think his motives were, but I think it's pretty clear what his motives aren't. The Iranians posed absolutely no threat to my country. Even after all this aggression, what did they do? They bombed the shit out of Tel Aviv. Not Manhattan, Tel Aviv. What does that tell you? That tells you that these Iranians have no concept whatsoever of physically attacking the United States of America in any sustained way. One of the things that's very, very difficult for Americans to understand is that, come closer, we're the bad guys here. We're the bad guys. These are not liberals saying this. These are not weak, limp-wristed liberals saying this. These are the greatest warfighters that we have. Mr. Joe Kent was a Task Force Orange guy. I know a lot of you guys don't understand what Task Force Orange is, okay? But that's a guy who... Imagine SEAL Team 6. Imagine a Harvard version, an Intel version of SEAL Team 6, okay? That's Task Force Orange. That's who Joe Kent is. So this is a guy that's seen war. He's killed people. He got to watch his wife die on camera. He got to see it happen on camera. He got to see it. This is the guy that's saying there was no imminent threat to us. That's the guy who Trump is saying was, quote, weak on security. Really? The Task Force Orange guy with the 11 deployments, he was weak on security. You don't even get a conversation with the Orange guys without a specific... I'm not going to talk about the pipeline. The pipeline is crazy. It is the most exclusive group of war fighters on the planet. But you got to be extremely intelligent and extremely quick on your feet psychologically to even get an invite for selection to that organization. That is the person who is saying Iran was not a threat to us. So that's my issue, guys, is that we're run by war pigs. That's a fact. God will judge them. That's a fact. But the Bible says that judgment starts in the house of God. And we have to judge ourselves for what we've done. And the Bible says if we had judged ourselves, we wouldn't be judged along with the world. So God's default is judge yourself. You know, people say all these ridiculous things that they don't know what they're saying when they say, only God can judge me. Man, I don't want God to judge me. He knows everything. I'd rather have you judge me. You don't know everything about me. So the Bible says, judge yourself. Judge yourself, amend your behavior, and don't put God in a position where he has to judge you, because it says he doesn't willingly trouble the children of men. So don't make God have to judge you. But America is spitting in God's face and giving him the finger and saying, what are you going to do about it? And then we got people that have been deployed by God to our nation to be the conscience of our nation. And while our nation slaps the Lord Jesus in the face, spits on him, and kills people he loves, we look at Jesus and say, what the fuck are you going to do about it? Man, I'm not speaking in defense of these Iranian people. You think I'm out here defending Iranians? I believe in God. I'm trying to defend my country. Because he's coming for us. Watch. Watch. And then it's going to be a bunch of, how could your good God let this happen? You know why. You know why. Anyway, War Pigs is obviously a 10. The cover is obviously a 10. God bless the USA with repentance, and God bless the rest of the world with an America that can no longer kill everybody. And I'm saying that as an American with a lot of kids here. It's going to get bad. It's going to get bad. It's going to get bloody. God is going to fight on behalf of these people. We cannot go throughout the world and look, if God doesn't do something severe to the United States of America, all you atheists, you have an argument. You get me? That's how serious this shit is. Now I'm prophesying. We'll see in the next 18 months if I'm a good prophet or not. We'll see. Alright, guys. Much love to all you beautiful people. Got a little bit serious. I like what Sean James, my Messianic Jewish friend, has to say. God does willingly love us. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. And that's why, what does it say? So we are not consumed. So we are not consumed because God still loves us. Amen. Amen. All right, guys, I'm going to stick around for a little bit. We'll do some Ask Me Anything, and then I'm going to peace out of here. Really good song, guys. Really good song. I know that you guys knew that it was going to get, we were going to talk about the goodness. I know you guys knew that. So, anyway, yeah, so thank you guys for hanging around. I really, really appreciate it. And if you want to I'm gonna do an Ask Me Anything. So I'm gonna hang out. I don't know. Let's say I'll put a 15-minute clock up there, and you guys can ask whatever questions you want, and then when that 15-minute timer goes, I am done with you bums, you losers. Let me put that clock up there. 15 minutes. 15 minutes. If Ben was here, he'd have some smart thing to say. He'd have some smart thing to say, I'm sure. Greetings from me to Story. Glad you're finally black. Peace. Keep up the reliable communication. It's essential. Yeah. I got you. I know what you're saying, bruh. I ain't mad at you for that. You're right. When you're right, you're right. All right, so I don't know what this thing is. This thing is saying 5 minutes, but I'll give it 15. I don't know. Vin, can I go to bed now? Yes, you can go to bed now, as long as you don't say anything about being naked and shit like you always do. It's fine. Yeah, this dude, he's always talking about he's like naked and shit. It's fine. He's like uncle level old, like. But he's the movie star. He's the one that plays in the movies. The guy that he was just playing in the movie with just won an Academy Award. And then he didn't even have the respect of being there. He was the dad in One Battle. No. The cop in One Battle After Another.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
He's an Oscar-winning movie.
He won an Oscar for that. Yeah.
Holy shit! Did you see they won that over Sinners?
He deserved to.
That movie?
That role?
No, you said that.
No, Sinners won. Sinners won Best Movie. Didn't they?
No, Michael B. Jordan won Best Actor.
Are you sure Sinners didn't win Best Movie?
Yep, it was one battle after another. They couldn't give it to us, man.
The One Battle After Another was a good movie. Secondly, One Battle After Another featured a black girl. Black girl was the hero.
Yeah, but it's different.
So you just want to go with the narrative that black people got persecuted in the Oscars because they didn't win? You're ridiculous.
Come on, man. Sinners
You are ridiculous.
It's the best of the decade.
Vin, do you believe that Epstein is still alive?
He's Palm Beach Pete.
I believe that there is a possibility that he's alive. Yes, I do. I do believe that. Yes, you're thinking of Sean Penn. I was working with Ian. Correct. Sinners is one of my favorite horror movies in a while. Yeah, I mean, I like the movie, but as far as like Delroy Lindo winning the best supporting actor, I don't really think that he did anything like spectacular acting wise in that movie. There's a lot of dudes I thought that could have played that role. So, I mean, it was a decent performance, but it wasn't a legendary performance in my opinion. Like, I thought that what that dude did in One Battle After the Other, the role that he played, I thought he did a really, really good job of that. So, that's why. What's your guess about when Anthrax's new album will drop? Anthrax's new record, I am not sure when it's going to drop. I didn't even know that they were on the way to do it. We should probably do a release party if there's enough Anthraxians out there. But I'm not sure when that's going to happen. Are you going to follow the World Cup? I probably should, because it's happening in America, right? To be honest with you, I'm shocked that it's still going to be held in America. I would assume that the world would have said, "Hell no, we're not gonna have no World Cup with you guys. Get out of here." But I'm assuming that there's way too much money and other stuff at stake for people to do that. But that would be one hell of a statement, though, if the world said, "No, we're not doing no World Cup in America with y'all. Get out of here." Hey, do me a favor, pour me some soda. Do you see the trailer for the Iron Maiden documentary coming out? No, I did not see that. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to look for it, though. I'm definitely going to look for it. For sure. What did I miss? Oh, you didn't really miss much. You know, just Vin bloviating like he normally does. Nothing significant. We're just doing an Ask Me Anything right now, Larry. Vin, have you listened to Sleep Tokens is in the free check the freezer latest record, Even in Arcadia? If not, you should. Yeah, it's right there. If not, you should. It's a banger album. I can't listen to music unless I've reviewed it. So that's a rule we've had for 7 years. Just because. So if somebody... Just pass the bottle. If somebody wants to request that, I'll definitely do it. You know what I'm saying? Is Little Red Riding Hood gonna drop the bass back there or what? I don't know what that is. Oh, Shorty. Yeah. I thought that was I thought that was pretty badass. They had because you got the wolf right there. See? Like that's a really badass picture. Didn't Jesus talk about the end of the world over 2,000 years ago? Why do some Christians think it's still going to go down anytime soon? Well, Jesus... How do I want to say this? I'll say it this way. Jesus predicted that Jerusalem was going to be destroyed, and he put a time marker on it. He said, this generation will not pass away until these things take place. What happens is people who are not familiar with the Old Testament take Old Testament imagery and they don't understand that Old Testament imagery. So for example, it says, the sun will be darkened, the moon will turn to blood, and the stars of the heaven will fall to the earth. And many people believe that that's talking about a cosmic catastrophe in which all these things happen. I asked a person one time, well, I mean, if one star hit the earth, would there be an earth? He said, no. And I said, all right, so obviously we can't take that literally. He says, well, no, we can, because he was talking about comets. Comets hitting the earth. And I said, there's a Greek word for comets. It doesn't get used. It says stars. Yeah, but it means comets. No, it doesn't. Here's what's happening. In Genesis, Joseph goes up to his brothers and says, guys, I had a dream that the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowed down to me. Well, he tells this story to his father. And his father says to him, what? Are I, your brothers, and your mothers going to bow down to you? Well, he didn't say that. He said the sun, moon, and stars are going to bow down to him. But he interpreted that as dad is the sun, because he's the patriarch. Mom is the moon, because she's the matriarch. And the 11 brothers are the stars. They would be the little lights, because you have the greater light is the sun, and the lesser light is the moon, and then you have all these little lights. And so that is equivalent to the royal family. All throughout the Old Testament, God uses this imagery of the sun, moon, and stars collapsing to talk about, honestly, regime change. So for example, there is a really big sense in which we could say that the sun, moon, and stars have been darkened over Iran. Why? Because we literally killed almost everybody in the royal family, right? If you kill the man, then if there is no male that can take its place, you then elect the queen. So you have a succession program, right? And the queen is dead, that's okay as long as her boys are of age and can rule. But if you take out the queen, the king, and all the potential heirs, you have wiped out that entire regime, and now whatever is left over is going to be a vassal state or whatever, enslaved to another state. Okay, so the sun, moon, and stars reference the end of the royal family, and sure enough, within a generation, that's exactly what happened. All the royalty, all the aristocracy in Israel were killed in 70 AD. Everybody. The priest class, the aristocrats, everybody died. And so that is what that imagery is about. So Jesus did not predict the end of the world in the passages that people are talking about. He predicted the destruction of Jerusalem, which is extremely significant because when Jesus gave that prophecy, we were in the middle of the Pax Romana, meaning you had Roman peace pretty much on all sides and nobody did anything to try to mess with them because you're in the middle of the Pax. So for Jesus to bring up this kind of destruction during the Pax Romana is very, very significant. Then, have you heard of the Iron Lung movie? It's about humanity colonizing space, but every planet and star vanishes and the remaining humans search for answers in a blood ocean on a vacant moon. No, but I'm extremely intrigued by that, so I'm going to look that up. That's pretty interesting. Someone told me that a few Republicans are asking Trump to deport Native Americans. It would not surprise me. It would not surprise me. This is an MA. Ask me anything, Hunter. Yeah, that would that would not surprise me at all if people were asking Trump to deport Native Americans. That would not surprise me at all. I mean, there is so much fear right now in certain demographics in this country because there's a lot of fear because they're starting to realize that they're not going to be the majority forever, and that is terrifying them. And so they're saying a bunch of really crazy, irrational stuff right now. Hopefully we still have a country long enough for these people to calm down, because if not, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. And you know what? We deserve it. So whatever happens, happens, I guess. I'm just at the point now where it's like, just do something, God, and get us out of here. Please. Get us out of here. We're in trouble. We are in trouble, y'all. Okay, what other question do you have? What do you think of Carrie Jean Butler religious... I got to look at the Spider-Man trailer. What do you think of Carrie Jean Bowler Religious Liberty Commission controversy? I'm trying to be very careful about how I answer this question. I think that our Jewish friends have got to come up with a different strategy to make their case to the American people. I think the term anti-Semitism and things like that, whether it's right or wrong, have just lost all meaning whatsoever. It used to be being called an anti-Semite was the end of you. It used to be the minute you said anything about them folks, I mean, you could talk about anybody. The minute you said something about them folks, it used to be the end of the world for you. And it's not that way anymore. Matter of fact, now it's almost reversed, whereas if you hear anti-Semite, it's almost code for, okay, this person's right. So I think that the Carrie Jean, pre-Jean Bowler situation is indicative of the fact that they got to come up with a different strategy because it's just not working. I think, look at Candace. She's getting 1 million views a day. I don't even believe what she's doing is right. I'm very nervous for her because if she's wrong about Erica Kirk, I mean, my God. I mean, that you can't get worse than that. So I think that's what needs to happen. And those folks are very intelligent. They know how to survive. They know how to thrive. So I think they'll, take their lumps and move on. I also think, though, that it's never going to be the same. It's never going to be the way it was again. And I think that's a good thing. I don't think we're ever going to get back to that kind of relationship with them folks. That's the best I could do. Vin, I'm sure we'll take American refugees fleeing from the MAGA death cult. Yeah. Yeah. What do you think of Kent resigning because of Iran? I think what Joe Kent did was one of the bravest things I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen, believe me, I've seen a lot of brave things. But this kind of fight is different because you are completely outmatched. You're completely outgunned in every single context. He's going to go and try to make his case to us. But I think what he did was brilliant. And I think it's what we needed in Vietnam, right? It's what we needed. It's what we needed in Iraq. You know, a lot of things would have been different for a lot of people if we would have had somebody that came out and said this stuff. Even if there's no official policy, it coming from a guy like that. And again, Joe Kent was a Task Force Orange guy. Okay, so what that means is he has an intelligence background, but he's also a door kicker. He can also operate. Okay, Task Force Orange is an extremely people, unless you're part of the craft, people don't even know what that is. Right? Like the closest I could come for you guys is to say, you know, SEAL Team 6 only from Harvard, right? Like that's what a Task Force Orange guy is. So for a guy like that to say Iran was not an imminent threat is extremely powerful, and it's extremely sacrificial because they're going to go after this guy with guns blazing. So good for him. The movie's very eerie. Imagine the only humans left on spaceships and stations. They don't have resources. Only light is from the light. Yeah, well, it's called Iron Lung. Was that what it's called again? Yeah. Yeah. Rangers. Yeah, for sure. Rangers lead the way for sure. For sure. Hey, I look at the news. What's up, baby? The Secret Army of Northern Virginia. Yeah, so I got a lot of respect for Kent. I got a lot of respect for Kent, and the media is gonna, work on destroying him. Good luck with that. Because you're gonna have to convince. I mean, this guy. I mean, he was on the Sean Ryan show. Okay, so he saw his wife die on camera. It was her last op. She was also in intelligence. And it was her last op. They got lazy, didn't do the OPSEC thing, and let somebody get close, and she died. And he saw the entire thing unfold on camera. Okay? So this is a guy who, he's been in it. He knows how to make threat assessments. And if that guy says there was no imminent threat, and Tulsi Gabbard, by the way, in her little whatever that was, basically admitted that there was no threat. So, yeah, I got a lot of respect for bro. Later, Controller, good to see you, baby. You have a bunch of PDF files and child murderers telling us that people that are not in the files are evil. Correct. It's mind-boggling to me that these people are still walking around in public. But on top of that, they are insulting people who are orders of magnitude better human beings than them. It's insane to me. It's insane. You had Officer Porkchop, what's his name? The black dude. The coon, what's his name?
Oh, Brandon Tatum.
Brandon Tatum was like, thank you for your service, Mr. Kent, but you're a coward. Man, if you don't shut the fuck up. If you don't shut the fuck up, Brandon Tatum. Dude, you were a cop for what, 5 years? And then you couldn't pass basic PT standards? And you're out here talking about a dude who got deployed 11 times, a guy who's now standing up against the most powerful man on the planet ever, and he's a coward. I can't countenance that type. I can't countenance that type of. It's so frustrating. It's people that have never done anything in their lives. That's the thing that gets me, and it just might be my own pride and ego. You've never done anything. You never put it on the line for anything. And you're out here calling this guy a coward. Okay. Okay. I just can't deal with it. Can't deal with it. What's up, Gotch? Even Caroline Levitt said there was no threat until she was told she would need to say, yeah. But again, whose word am I going to take? The Task Force Orange guy or Carolyn Levitt, who's never left Alabama? Like, stop this. Like, what are we doing? And the problem is, you got to convince warfighters that this guy is a coward. You got to convince people that know what this guy was about that he's a coward. Good luck with that. Good luck. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. like I just the mighty cat turd with his 37 yeah, like, you know, I think that, you know, thankfully that because of what Mr. Kent has done, I think thousands of lives are going to be saved. I really believe that. And I also think that he's sacrificed a lot because he's got the crosshairs are on him now. The crosshairs are on him. And so for him to be that brave is just mind-boggling to me. I don't. It's incredible. I saw E. Michael Jones say that America's Third Republic will end soon because people are waking up about Israel and the issues Jews have, and also because there has never been a Jewish society that has lasted for more than 80 years, and we're coming up on the 80th anniversary of Israel's birth in 1948. And the Third Republic of America was born with the Holocaust narrative. You should follow E&G on Twitter. Super insightful guy. Yeah, I mean, I'll check him out. I don't know about that 80-year thing. We'll see. I'm sure you've all pieces together, but this is Ranger. Not sure why my YouTube handle keeps changing. Yeah, I figured, Mr. RL2way. I figured as soon as I said he was a Task Force Orange guy, and you brought up the fact that he's a Ranger, I'm like, oh, that's a Ranger. That's I figured that was you. But yeah, man, like Joe Kent, like for Officer Porkchop to say that about him is very offensive to me. It's very offensive to me that he would say something like that. Say you disagree, say whatever, but you can't talk about a man who's twice the man you are and call that man a coward. You just can't. You just can't. Say he's dumb, say he's disloyal, say whatever you want, but that really, and you know, it's probably my own ego, you know? But that really bothers me. That really bothers me because it's like, yeah, man, like you never put the shit on the line ever, and you're talking about this guy. Okay, all right. I got a hard time with that. All right, guys, we'll do a bonus round. I'll give you guys another 10 minutes to ask whatever questions you want. Somebody asked me about Muhammad, how old Aisha was. Aisha, as I said, was 6 when Muhammad married her, and 9 when he sexually assaulted her. What's up, Shed? Shed 245? Shed 245? I used to say 9 when he consummated the relationship or consummated the marriage. But I'm not saying that anymore. She was 9 when he sexually assaulted her. So, and by the way, she was not like, it wasn't like she was a willing participant, and I'm just saying that you can't consent as a matter of principle. If you actually look at the date that this happened to her, she says specifically that she had a panic attack. She said she was breathless when they called her up to do the deed with Muhammad. She was breathless, and then she had to get calmed down by her mother. Then her mother did her hair and then sent her into the loving arms of Muhammad when she was 9 years old. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ah, 7 dusted in this bitch. Hey, Seven's here and 375 is here. Then I'm here. We just need one more person, and we'll have the Avengers. Damn, Muhammad out here diverting like behaving like Dershowitz on the island. Correct. And you heard what Dershowitz said. He said I could have just I could have just got him off. You remember when he said that about the pedos?
Oh,
He said, I would have just got him off. I'd have marched right to the State Department. We would have got him off. Yeah, that's Alan Dershowitz for you.
oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
May
they
Allah,
asked me, he
may
said,
Allah
"Who
destroy
knows?"
him. May Allah destroy him. Did you see Netanyahu say to that Jesus Christ has no advantage over Genghis Khan? He was saying because he was making the point that being good isn't enough to stand against evil. Yes, I did see that. I'll probably publish the video I shot. I actually shot that video for somebody. Yeah, I did see that. I am not as offended about that because he is not a Christian, right? So all this love your enemy, turn the other cheek stuff that Jesus is talking about, you have a hard enough time getting Christians to follow and believe that. So there's no reason to for me to get angry at Benjamin Netanyahu for saying that. He doesn't believe in Jesus, and the Sermon on the Mount makes no sense to him. He thinks basically that Jesus was a feel-good hippie. My problem really is that there are many Christians that in their practical life or in their foreign policy agree with him. That's my problem. Our unconditional support of Trump, our unconditional support of war, in my lifetime, there has not been any war that the evangelicals haven't given full-throated support for. So it's things like that where I'm like, yo, man, like, what he said is the least of my issues. I'm not mad at him for that. How would Netanyahu know anything about the principles of goodness? Correct. Is Netanyahu dead? No, he's not. And I got to tell you guys, by way of confession, in the few days where I thought he was dead, I was happy. I was glad. I wanted to spike that football so hard. I was so happy at the prospect that those Iranians got some real vengeance against this guy. But that's not a Christian mindset. I hate Benjamin Netanyahu. I hate it. But that's not a Christian mindset. Now, I hate him for good reasons. I hate him because I love humanity, and I love those Iranian people, and you guys know I have an affinity for Muslim people. But my love for Muslim people and Iranian people should not change to hate for Benjamin Netanyahu. The scripture says to pray for your enemies, and believe me, there's no enemy in my life right now that I hate more than Benjamin Netanyahu. So, if you're a praying person, you have to pray for me, because I genuinely, in every cell of my being, you guys know how I am about killing, but I was happy that he died when I thought he was dead. So, I'm not gonna lie to y'all and pretend I'm a better person than I am, because I'm not. I still have a lot of issues where Jesus needs to change me. What's the countdown for? The countdown is for, you guys have 4 minutes and 19 seconds to ask me questions. There's no such thing as Judeo-Christian. Jews condemn Jesus and are waiting for the Messiah. Christians, by definition, believe he was the Christ. It's crazy to think that Dawa guys actually defend child marriage. It makes sense because they have to, but it makes my skin crawl. The debate between Daniel and inspiring philosophy is hard to watch. Yeah. The problem that Muslims have is that the Quran says explicitly that Muhammad is an excellent moral example. I remember one time I was walking down the street and my Muslim friend was walking on the other side. And I'm like, yo, why you guys walk that way? And they said, that's how Rasulullah walked. So, like, the side of the street that this man walks on is something to be emulated, right? So, you can't, therefore, condemn him for having sex, for raping a 9-year-old. You can't. You can't do that and then be faithful to the doctrine. So they have no choice but to say, well, yeah, he did do that, and then come up with all these justifications. Like, for example, it was the 7th century, and she was more mature than the average bear. That's not true, because she was playing with dolls. And you can't play with dolls in Islam when you've hit maturity, because it's a form of idolatry. But you're allowed to play with dolls when you're a little kid. So the day he raped her, she was playing with dolls. So, no, she wasn't like, you know, uncommonly mature. She was a regular 9-year-old fucking girl, literally playing in the sandbox with her friends. Literally! The other one that they say is, well, it's the 7th century, everybody was doing that, it was a common practice. No, well, number one, you're supposed to be a prophet and the last and final prophet, so everybody else was doing it seems to be a weak excuse. Secondly, it's a fucking lie. Show me anywhere in 7th century Arabia where this was some common practice, where we're out here raping 9-year-old girls. It wasn't. The only extant literature we have for somebody doing that is Muhammad doing it to Aisha, and then Umar ibn al-Khattab did it to Ali's daughter. So there's that. I'm concerned about blowback from this bullshit war, which we've already sampled a taste in Austin and Old Dominion. Oh, I agree. I told everybody it's going to get bloody, man. I told everybody. Especially if we do this ground troops nonsense. Yeah, man. Blowback's coming, man. It's coming. It's just a fact. Y'all gonna wake up one day, y'all gonna see. Benjamin Netanyahu is B. Milikowski. Whatever his Polish name was. You know, I'm surprised that, what's his face? Nergal hasn't said anything about it, like bringing all this shame to Polish people. The Ethiopian Bible shows Jesus' missing years. Apparently, he killed 3 children and their parents when he was a child. Joseph told him he was wrong. He brought them back to life. Yeah, these are Gnostic Gospels and stuff like that. That Muhammad picks up on, by the way, but they came much later, but yeah. Is there more to Muhammad being a bad role model besides Aisha? Thomas Aquinas said he performed 0 miracles and spread Islam by the sword. Well, aside from the Aisha thing, remember, here's the thing about Muhammad, okay? When you talk about Muhammad to Muslim people, and you talk about his life, they're not looking at it from a historical perspective. They're looking at it from a theological perspective. Namely, everything this man does is the example for you to follow. So the problem with the Aisha situation is that it puts girls in a situation now for close to, 1,1500 years, where they're now being victimized with no protection whatsoever. So that's one. 2 is obviously, he said, this is one of the last hadith that he said. He said, I've been commanded to fight the people until they say La ilaha illallah, and that I'm the messenger of Allah, and that they give the zakat. And then he says their blood and their property is safe. Secondly, Muhammad had this understanding that during jihad, if you were successful, the girls that were left over are what's called right-hand possessions. And you can basically do whatever you want to them. You can rape them, you can do whatever. There's actually a story where the guys come up to Muhammad and say, hey, listen, we practice this thing called azl. Azl is coitus interruptus. It's pulling out when you're whatever. And so they come to Muhammad and said, we're practicing azl because we're concerned about their prices. Meaning, if they get pregnant, then their prices are going to go down because whoever wants to buy them is going to have to deal with the maintenance of the child. So their prices are going to go down. So they want to be able to have sex with this girl, rape this girl, and then sell her off to slavery. So they go to Muhammad and says, what do you think? We're practicing Oslo because we're worried about their prices. Muhammad's response was not, oh my God, you're raping these girls and then selling them to slavery? What's wrong with you? Muhammad's response was, do you guys really do that? He said, there's no soul that exists other than what Allah has decreed. Basically, he's saying, whether or not you pull out, it depends on whether or not Allah wants her to get pregnant. So that has nothing to do with it. So go for it. Finish inside of her. This is the pinnacle of humanity. These women would fare better in the Old Testament economy. Much better in the Old Testament economy than Muhammad, who claimed to be the update to Jesus. Ridiculous. 2,000 Marines will be in Iran in 2 days. Yeah, pretty terrible. What do you think of Nostradamus' predictions of the third Antichrist? I am not familiar with Nostradamus' prediction of the third Antichrist, and I didn't know that there were two. Who are the first two? The Quran says that sperm is produced at the base of the spine. We know. Yeah. I generally give Muhammad a pass for the scientific stuff in the Quran, because phenomenological language is a thing. Like, for example, your newscaster will still say sunrise and sunset, even though he's, I'm sure, a heliocentrist and not a geocentrist. So I generally give Muhammad a pass for phenomenological stuff. But the sperm thing is a problem for me, because that's not phenomenon. So phenomenology would be, we know that the sun doesn't actually go up and down, but from our vantage point, it does, right? For Muhammad to say that sperm is produced at the base of the spine for the male, and then behind the rib cage for the female, because that was the other idea. These Arabs at the time believed that women also had sperm, and that when men's sperm coincide with female sperm, that's when you get a child. And so there's a lot of scientific issues there, and so I give Muhammad a pass for most scientific things, but not that one, because that one you can't blame on phenomenology. That's just literally, he just made the shit up. I don't know what else to say. I'm trying to be respectful, but there you go. Islam squashes Bakabazi in Afghanistan, so they're not totally pro-Beto. Yeah, no, I agree. They're not pro-pedo, but as you know, that's mostly with boys, almost exclusively with boys, and so there's a little bit of debate of, is the issue the underage nature of it, or is the issue the fact that you're doing it with boys? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, they're pretty disgusting over there in Afghanistan. Generally trying to avoid that, but yeah, Islam is a better situation than that, for sure. I agree. The sperm in the female is now called the ovaries. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I thought the third might be American, but now I believe it's Israel. Well, where are the first two, though? Like, where are the first two? But yeah, there are, the sperm thing is a really embarrassing thing for Muslims, I'm sure. And that's just like, you know, I think they just do their best to avoid that one, which is wise to do. But yeah, I'm glad I'm a born-again savage. Yeah, man. Yeah, it was fucked up when I was over there. I get shit canned for stopping. We had to respect their culture, which was, yeah. No, yeah. Trust me, bro. I know. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Especially... Yeah. That's something I never talk about. It's that's something I don't talk about a lot. You know, I could have done anything, blah blah blah. At the end of the day, you saw something like that happen, you didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? It's a very difficult thing to fucking. Yeah. I don't like talking about it. What are your thoughts on the Talmud? What are my thoughts on the Talmud? The Talmud gives you a very, very good view into the fact that this Judeo-Christian thing is mythology. And it's not mythology because we reject Jews. It's mythology because they went out of their way to reject us. The entire operation of Rabbinic Judaism is really designed to deal with two things. One, the Jesus phenomena, and two, the destruction of the temple. So, it gives you a good mind state into their thought process and how these doctrines evolved. For sure. For sure. But, it's a very, very eye-opening book because what document. What I always tell people is if you want to know what people really believe, don't listen to what their enemies say. You obviously don't listen to what their apologists say. You don't even listen to what they say. If you want to know what a group of people believe, listen to them when they're talking to each other. And the Talmud is essentially a long drawn out conversation between guys who are arguing about the law, how to interpret it and how to apply it. And so it gives you a very, very good understanding as to the mentality of those folks. I'll say it that way. Hail, Black Queen! Nothing any of us did or didn't do over there made any difference, bro. Don't beat yourself up. Yeah, I mean, whatever people say to deal with stuff is, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, cool. There is historical evidence that when Paul tells women to pray with their head, it is because Romans believed long hair made you more fertile, and Paul was concerned with another Genesis 6. Yeah, that's the Michael Heiser thing where you're worried about testicles or whatever. Yeah, I think that was a reach from Heiser, to be honest with you. I don't really think that was the issue. So what he's talking about, guys, is in Corinthians, I think around chapter 11, Paul makes a very big deal about women praying and prophesying with their heads uncovered. See, that's where I think the Heiser thing breaks down. Because if it was just about the fertility and the angels, then why limit the head covering to when the girl is praying and prophesying? If the girl doesn't pray or prophesy at the church meeting, she doesn't have to have her head covered at all. So, if the head covering was a perpetual thing like a hijab in Islam, then sure, no problem. But that's not what's happening. He's saying she has to have her head covered when she's praying and prophesying. And I think that is a very, very important distinction. Oh, look at that, guys. The clock has struck 0. But I'm going to do one more extension. You guys can ask a question. You can ask about Muhammad. You can ask about foreign policy. You can ask about bands. You can ask about whatever you want. And I'll do my best to answer you honestly. If I have an answer. The Talmud says that all of us, Goy, must serve the chosen people. Yeah. I mean, stuff is there, man. I don't know what to tell you. It's there. I don't know what to do. Probably the historical evidence is just a belief of hearing fertility, but yeah, that might have been reaching. Yeah, well, I'm saying he's reaching because he limits his prayer prophesying. My theory on that is to say that when a woman is praying or and I've seen, this is why I'm saying this, because I actually saw this in real time, and I said, oh, that's why. A lot of reasons that people have these funky interpretations of that text is because they don't actually practice it in their churches. Because honestly, prayer and prophecy has to be active in order for that rule to take place if you're following the text as closely as possible. So if you have a context where a woman is praying and prophesying, I remember a very, very specific night. It was a prayer night. We've been fasting for X amount of days. I think the lead guy had us fast for like a week straight, actually. And we got to the end of it, and the end of it was on Easter Sunday. So went to church, guy preached, then we all got together and we all broke the fast together. We all ate together. And then later on that night there was a prayer meeting. And we're there, and this girl begins to pray. I cannot explain to you what happened in that room. I have never experienced anything like it before or since. She's praying, and every word that she's saying is like, I mean, it was just insane. And I remember opening my eyes, because I'm like, I have to see this sight. And I'm looking around, and everybody's just being affected, and she's going. Everything she's saying is more powerful, more beautiful than the previous thing she was saying. And she's praying and praying and praying. As she's praying, she's also speaking prophetically. The power that girl was wielding in that moment, I'd never seen before. And I have seen some really powerful moments spiritually in the world. And this girl's personality, she wasn't a raw, everybody knows Sori. Sori has that kind of personality, raw, type of thing, especially in spirituality. This girl's not like that. Very shy, but she spoke with a power and an authority, and I was just like blown away by the concentration of power in the room. And I looked up and I saw her, and she's hijabbed up. She's in her little hijab, and I thought, oh, that's why. Because Paul had a very clear understanding of how marriages were supposed to work. Because the other thing about that text is that it was married women. It's married women that have to have their heads covered when they're praying and prophesying. It is not all women everywhere should wear a hijab for all time. Doesn't say that. What it says is she should be hijabbed up when she's praying and prophesying. Why? Because her husband is her head. But when I opened my eyes and saw that girl, I hate to say this way, but her husband looked so weak and insignificant. Her husband was a worship leader in our church, okay? He had a very important role in our church. But man, when that girl was going off and I opened my eyes and I saw her, I said, oh my God, I would have followed that girl. I would have followed that girl to the ends of the earth. I'd done anything, she said. And Paul is saying, when a woman is praying and prophesying and she's operating with that much power, for the sake of angels, show a sign of humility that you're still under authority. Why? Because the angels witnessed when Lucifer decided that he was so powerful and beautiful because God gave him that power. He decided that he was going to take the glory for himself. He decided he was going to usurp the position of God, or make himself equivalent to the position of God. So he decided to do himself. So Paul, who's a Pharisee, coming out of a context where women and men didn't even worship together, much less now women and men are worshiping together in the same area, and on top of that, the woman is able to, in some form, hijack the service. And I don't mean hijack in a bad way, because this girl absolutely hijacked the moment, but God was moving through her. So it's like, yo, we're going to worship together, and that girl is going to be full of Holy Spirit and power, but she's going to be able to handle that power in a responsible way. Look, she's still saying that she's under the authority of her husband, even though she outstrips her husband by a fucking mile. That's the reason I think Paul said she should pray and prophesy with her head covered. Because if you've ever seen a woman who's praying prophetically and prophesying, it's the closest thing I could bring up, and I hesitate to bring this up because it went dark. You remember in Lord of the Rings when was it Galadriel, the elf queen or whatever, and she starts contemplating if she would be able to get the ring, and then like she kind of like changes for a second. She's like, I'm gonna be, and like the power is there, and it's like, whoa, and then like she goes back to normal. That's what happened. That's what I experienced. That's why I had to open my eyes and see. And then when I saw her with the hijab, I said, oh, okay, God, you're a genius. Now I see. So that's my explanation for the hijab thing. It took 20 years in Afghanistan to replace the tally with the tally. This administration replaced the Ayatollah with the Ayatollah in a mere 8 days. The most efficient government ever. 275, man. This boy is crazy, boy. Did Jesus do say anything you think is wrong or don't understand? Jesus has said a lot of things I don't understand. He's never said or done anything wrong. That's what I believe. When do you believe the Torah was truly written? Traditionally, it says 1200 BC, but scholars think 600 BC during the hours before during Hosea before Babylon. Yeah, I actually take the early date because of the structure of the covenant. The structure of the covenant in the Old Testament is in the suzerain vassal structure, which was extant during the ancient Near Eastern period. It was not extant during the Babylonian period. So I take the traditional Mosaic view of the 1200s because of the nature of the suzerain vassal treaty and the fact that covenant is such an important concept. It's a central concept in the Old Testament, and the suzerain vassal treaty is clearly there. And so that's a time-bound thing. So that's why I put it with the traditional reading. I heard Trump's name was mentioned in the files more than God's name was in the Bible. Trump was mentioned a bunch in the Epstein files. I've got a person who, works for the government, like high at the federal level, and he said the main thing you should look at is anything that was part of a sworn testimony. So like an affidavit, a search warrant, or a testimony in court. Those are the really, really major ones. And so with that being in mind, there's nothing really on Trump with those categories in the list that was released, right? With what we know of, that's what we have so far. So that's what I'd say about that. Epstein files are not relevant anymore. People worried about food and fuel now. Spare a thought for the thousands we killed and the millions living in fear. Yeah, man. It's a pretty difficult thing to like really think about if you really think about how much we have immiserated the planet. And for what? For a small group of people to have trillions when they have billions. It's truly a sickness, man. Truly, truly a sickness. Later, Ian. Good to see you, baby. Good to see you. Yeah, our country is we're in a lot of trouble, man. For sure. How do you interpret the land promises in the at the end of the Old Testament where God says that he will bring all the Israelites back in the land? I know you interpret them spiritually since you believe in covenant theology, but what do you think of the fulfillment, the church, the kingdom, what? Well, give me a specific Give me a specific passage you're talking about. I don't think that there are any land promises. I don't think there are any promises in the Old Testament that are not either already fulfilled or fulfilled in Jesus. So if you have a specific land promise or something, a post-exilic land promise, let's look at it and let's talk about it. Anybody think a Massey Paul ticket could stand a chance, or would they get frozen out? I think a Massey Carlson ticket would do well. I don't look. The vice president. What's up? What's up, Dane Falco? The vice president really doesn't have a lot of power and influence, right? I would want Tucker as the vice president because he could provide, you know, the rhetorical sort of underpinning of what they're trying to do. I would like Massey as president. I would like Ron Paul as my Secretary of State. Because Ron Paul is going to get us the fuck out of these wars in a permanent way. So I want Ron Paul as Secretary of State. The other thing about Ron Paul, about the Pauls in general, is that they're too almost divisive. The libertarianism of these guys has always kind of like been a weak spot. So as far as like galvanizing enough, but I think a Massey Carlson ticket would be great and put him as Secretary of State, and I think we'll be in really, really good shape. I don't think everybody's, oh, America's doomed, the empire's fallen. Man, if we just get our shit together and get out of these nations and spend 4 years just focused on rebuilding America, making sure the American citizenry is good, we're going to be in really, really good shape. But it's up to us, and I think we're in a situation now where people are really sick and tired of this shit. They're sick and tired of it, so something's got to happen. How would you cautiously differentiate the modern rebellion against Zionism from Hitler's rebellion against Zionism? Plenty of differences, but enough similarities that warrant consideration. Yeah, it's a big thing. It's a really, really big thing. And here's the thing. Anti-Semitism is real. There are people who genuinely hate people because they are Jewish. And my fear is that because of what's happening now, there's a lot of, see, I told you guys. And now people are so angry and emotional. You know, when Anna Kasparian gets on TV and says, y'all are hated. The whole world hates you. On the one hand, I understand the passion and all the rest of it. On the other hand, it feels really good. But you got to ask yourself, if I was an anti-Semite and I heard that, what would I think? And so now, when you hear language like that, it becomes very, very difficult to parse between who is a person righteously angry about what's happening to the people in Gaza as well as Iran, and who is a person that always hated Jewish people just on virtue of the fact that they're Jews. This guy is now really happy. This guy ain't your friend either. Like, that's the thing. So, right now, you know, black people are in the crosshairs of these people. The Jews are in the crosshairs of these people. But make no mistake, when they finish dealing with the Jews, it's going to go right back to where it was. So, I do think that that's a very, very important warning. I think the minute that we locate these actions by these people, the minute that we locate it in their race, as in these people are like when Josh Hammer said that non-Jews were biologically disposed to hating Jews or something like that. The minute that you start making it about the essence of Jewry, that's when I think it devolves into genuine anti-Semitism. Or if you set up a situation in which they can never be redeemed, that's another one where I think you have genuine anti-Semitism. These are conversations that we have internally at the house, because you guys know my kids are current. You guys know that, you know, my son is an operative, relative to, politics. So these are conversations that we have because it's a very, very difficult line. And I think that's a very wise question to ask, for sure. You will never get a chance to vote for anyone who has not been blackmailed. Well, I mean, I kind of agree and disagree. I think, honestly, that that's one of the reasons that Charlie Kirk was killed. I think that Charlie couldn't be bought, and I also think that he didn't have any of these skeletons in his closet, whereas you couldn't get any leverage over him, so he had to go. That's what I genuinely believe. Now, who thought he had to go? I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say. Like for the 10 northern tribes, for instance, because the tribe of Benjamin returned to Israel after their exile, but the other 10 haven't. Where in the post-exilic period are we told that God is going to bring back the other 10 tribes? Just feels like no matter who you vote for, you get John McCain. You like Bush, here's McCain. You like Obama, here's McCain. Trump, here's McCain. Biden, 26-year-old staffers holding the sippy cup. Is he wrong? Is he wrong, though? I gotta take off. It was great to see everyone. Take it easy. Have a good night, Vin. Later, Jesse. We'll be back tomorrow. Don't worry. Maida says it's interesting how people parse their thinking of anti-Semitism be the actual faith of the government. It should be anti-Semitic to criticize the action of the Israeli government. Yep. But people who defend the actions of the government claim those who criticize it are doing so because of the face. Yeah. No, that's a very good point. Very good point. Anti-Semitism is anti-Shem. The EU people are the descendants of Japheth. Yes, I know. I have many conversations with anti-Semitic people, and they always talk about Israel and Zion-interested lobbyists, lawyers, and doctors. No. That's what I'm saying, is that now they've got, they're in their I told you so energy, and I think a lot of people who are not conversant with actual anti-Semitism and the methodologies and means that these people use, I think people are extremely vulnerable now to actual anti-Semites. Yeah, I do. And, Jewish community has done itself no favor by labeling anybody who criticizes the government as anti-Semitic. So now, when Black Queen or me try to warn you and say, listen, there's real anti-Semitism going around, they immediately shut down and roll their eyes because, oh, everybody's an anti-Semite now. It's like, well, no, not everybody is, but there are anti-Semites around. So no, that's a very, very good point. It's a very good point. I've always been told it's just a conspiracy, but lately we found it's true to a larger extent than I thought. What are you finding is true? I'm slightly Jewish. My mother's grandmother is a full-blown Jew, but I was raised Christian because my parents are. The problem with Jews is not their ethnicity, but their ideology, whether it's Zionism or Talmudic Judaism. Well, remember, it was Jews that brought us Christianity in the first place, right? So we can't, as Christians, be anti-Jewish. I think, look, Paul says, whatever promises that were given, find their yes and amen in Jesus, okay? So there is no blessing for Jewish people or any people outside of Jesus. Jesus is the seed in which if you bless him, you'll be blessed, and if you curse him, you'll be cursed. Jesus is that seed. And so all the stuff that these people are using to invoke their Jewish supremacist stuff is not even biblical. So there's that. All right, guys. On that note, thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it. I'm gone. I will see you beautiful people mañana, or tomorrow, as they say. Much love to all you beautiful people. Then out. Love your neighbor. Take care of each other. I'm gone.